Welcome to episode number 18 of It's Server Time. Today we have ZTR joining us. Of Young Ninjas, formerly of NIP proper. But ZTR, thanks a lot for coming on because I know that you're taking time out of your evening. You are playing in a tournament right now, and every moment counts, every hour counts, but you're spending some time with us. So really appreciate you coming on.
No problem. Great to be here.
Awesome. All right, so we're going to get things started with a Q&A here. So first question is, you're playing in the WePlay Academy League right now. Did you think it was going to be this competitive?
Not really, to be honest, because there were so many, not unknown teams, but so many teams just announced it like a day before or on the same day, just like fnatic. So, and I didn't think they would be as good as they are now, most of the teams. There are many teams that have surprised, actually. Like, for example, Big and Furia, they've taken some wins against some pretty good teams, I believe.
Yep.
And as well as Fnatic Rising, they've been playing for like maybe 3 or 4 days total, or since the tournament started, they've been playing, and they are in the first place now, I believe. So they've surprised big time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Mix and Note, do you guys have questions for Zeter? Actually, another question. Does anybody call you Zeter? I sometimes say it for fun, but I don't say it on broadcast. But I sometimes like Zeter.
No,
Sounds
never
kind of
actually. Like the only other version of my nickname is maybe like Star, because I used to nickname Little Star or something like this. So that's the only thing.
Okay, wait. Actually, what's your username come from? The ZTR then?
It's pretty random, to be honest. So I don't really have an explanation for it. But I guess maybe something like Star, and I wanted to make it look cool, so with a set instead.
Yeah. Okay.
There. I guess for one question, going from playing on NIP to playing in this academy team is like, what was the transition going back down to the academy team like for you?
So obviously, or not obviously, but at first it was really, I was pretty demotivated at first, knowing that I had received like what some may see as a once in a lifetime opportunity to play for a tier 1 team, and that I had kind of fucked it up by not performing as good as I could have, and which led to me getting demoted. But after some days speaking with some friends and family, etc., and them giving me some other views on the whole situation, I realized that I'm only 17 and it's just another step in my career, which makes me so it didn't take as harsh now. So I'm just looking forward to what the future might hold now, because I have still a long future ahead of me, I believe.
That is a great way to look at it.
It's a good mindset to have. Like,
yeah.
well, you know, one of the best examples I always think of whenever I think of that is like when Nexa got his like first shot on Renegades. Like he played with Renegades for a bit and he wasn't very good. Like he didn't do very well. He had to like call for a bit as well, even on Renegades, and like he didn't really perform very well. And then after that, it was kind of like back to no man's land or whatever. And it wasn't only till like a year or two later he started like performing again and like with Crazy and then like getting on G2 and stuff. So it's like obviously some people had kind of like think it's like a linear thing of like you get your one shot and then obviously you never know in esports or sports in general when your next shot comes, but I think as long as you can like keep the motivation and kind of just keep working at it, if you are good enough and you can like, you know, keep improving, eventually another shot just come down the road.
Definitely.
How do you think Linus has been playing for them?
Well, I think he suits them much more than me, actually, because the positions that I transferred to when playing with them, he actually played before, or something, or at least close to it. So now that he's playing with them, he got to play his comfortable position. So I think he's been doing it really good as well. And with a little, or just with a bit more time, I think he can do much better than he's already been doing.
Okay, yeah.
When Linus went up to the main team, you guys picked up Royf, or how do you say his name?
Rolf.
Rolf. Yeah. What's it been like playing with him compared to when you were with LNZ before?
So actually, I didn't play with LNZ. So
Okay.
it was Mannen who got replaced as me
Gotcha.
and Linus switched back. And obviously he's much younger than Mannen and close to no team experience or any experience at all playing at a decent level. So of course that was the negative side of it, that he didn't have any experience. But now with time, I believe that he's just absorbing everything we learn in every game and learning by every game. So yeah, I think he's looking good for now at least, and he will only keep on improving, I believe.
Okay, so if you didn't play some of the spots though for NIP prior to you moving to their team, what do you know what they saw in you then? Like, what did they just want to steal your strats for? Like, because I know you called for overpass, so did they just steal your strats and then walk away? Or like, what happened? Why
No,
did they
it
get?
wasn't really like that. Like on T side, I played most of my positions still. Like I was on the, I was kind of the lurker dude or something like this on the other side of the map, not going with the group. It was mostly on the CT sides. I just kind of took all of Twist's positions.
Yeah.
Which like maybe one of them I had played. I was comfortable on. It was Inferno. I had played that before, but then on most other maps.
Is that Pit? Is that
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Apps Pit.
And then like on most maps, as you maybe see now in the Academy League, I'm playing like rotator or where I can move around a lot.
Yeah, so you're like
that
the rotator overpass.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I feel most comfortable in, being able to move around and adjust to what is happening around the map, which in those positions that I played in NIP, I couldn't really do that much because I was mostly like A-site, anchor on nuke, and pit, and A-site mirage, and stuff like this.
Yeah. Okay, I think the most kind of famous way, I think the impression you left on a lot of people after Flashpoint 3 was two things. One, you were really clutch. You won a lot of 1v1, 1v2s, and I think when I asked you about that there, you kind of like said you kind of play more for yourself in those moments. Can you kind of like talk about that again? Like, why do you think when you played on NIP, a lot of moments you're kind of like iffy, but then when in clutches you popped off?
Yeah, I believe it's because like when it's like a normal 4v4 or when more people are alive, it's kind of a good and it's like a double-edged sword that I think, or it comes from time to time, like I think too much about what's happening around me and with my teammates, that I don't focus on myself that much, which happens sometimes, which can be both good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I end up in a clutch situation, then I don't have to focus on anything of that sort anymore, and I can just focus on aiming and trying to outsmart the opponents in a 1vx situation, which I feel like I'm pretty good at.
Okay, another thing that stuck with people is that because you played all these anchor positions, you would do this all the time where you would save your smoke until the site hit, and then you would just right click it and then try to outplay people. Like, what made you play this kind of style instead of something a little more standard?
To be honest, it was like I felt like after some time, obviously I've been noticing criticism or like people saying that I'm pretty bad, I guess, and that took not a really big hit, but I noticed that I started lacking in confidence a bit, and so that's why I most of the time just resorted to trying to earn time for my team instead, and just trying to survive and maybe get at least a 1-for-1 trade whilst delaying them. So it's and I of course didn't have so much that much ideas on what to do on those positions because I didn't have that much experience on them.
Oh, that makes so much sense because actually when I watched your demos for against Astralis, when you played that really good opening series, you didn't really do that as much. You didn't do the right click smoke thing, and then as you played more for NIP, you started doing it more and more and more. I will say though that it did work. I mean, you guys made the finals at Flashpoint 3, like, and you doing that bought time for rotations all the time. Like you would sometimes seriously sit up like for 15 seconds. You'd wait for the whole smoke, and then because they were just trying to find you in it, your teammates just rotated in and killed them. So it was effective, I thought, in that sense. it was hard to like wrap my head around it though, because it was kind of like you're not killing anybody, but you are like, I know wasting time is important because it allows rotations, but you were like, I kind of liked it. By the end of Flashpoint 3, I had to respect it because you guys were doing so well. You guys mix a note. You guys have more questions for ZTR?
I guess with Flashpoint 3, with the whole drama that went down early on, for you, do you feel like that added a lot of pressure for you personally?
Like, not really, to be honest. Like, of course, we got some nice and comforting messages from all the Polish fans, but it didn't really affect me that much because I know it's just people writing threats behind the screen and such on. Or like the only time I maybe felt pressure was in the actual Anonymo rematch, but after that it was all good, because obviously we didn't want to get this huge controversy about the rematch and then lose the rematch. That would be pretty bad look.
Yeah.
Mix, you got any questions?
No, I'm good.
Okay. I'll ask one thing kind of about the org right now, and then we can move on to some of the main topics. But so the last thing I'll ask is, you guys are on the Young Ninjas, obviously it's an academy team for NIP. So what kind of resources does NIP offer you guys? Are you getting to work with any of the players on the proper team, the coach? Like, do you guys talk to Threat or anything?
Yeah, so the resources, we of course get not everything we ask for, but like if we need something, we can always ask for it, and they will try their best to help us with it and maybe get it for us. When it comes to like helping us with the team in general, strats, or just individually with the staff and coaches there, Threat has been helping a bit as well, as well David, the physic or mental coach or physical coach for you maybe seen in some of the vlogs.
Psychologist kind of thing?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I don't know what exactly it is, but something like that. David McGowan, and he's been helping out a lot as well. I've been talking to him a lot after I got demoted from the main lineup.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, performance manager.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Wait, what? This guy's a professional rower? What
Yeah,
the
he
hell?
was playing. He was in the Olympics and things like this.
Yeah, I see this. Wait, what? He became the youngest coach to win a world championship in rowing. What the hell? Okay, that's a cool guy to have on your team. Okay, what has he helped you with? What kind of things does he help you with?
No, just like nutrition, first of all, like how to maintain a good schedule, because I feel like that helps a lot. If you maintain a good schedule, you feel good and you play good. And like tips with like
I know all about that.
Yeah, exactly.
You
And
eat well, Mix?
No, I was more thinking like having like a good sleeping schedule, which I haven't had in a year. I've been working.
You don't enjoy
3 a.m. to
the
10
2 to 11 grinds.
You really just keep choosing to work with European teams, but then again, what NA teams are there to work with?
What else am I supposed to do?
Yeah. Okay.
I got a quick question for ZTR while we're on the topic, while we're still in interview mode here. So,
go for it.
All right, when you get signed up to the main team, right, ZTR, and then they announce that miraculously they've somehow managed to get Device on the lineup. At this point, where you've been with the team for a brief amount of time, like, what is your reaction? Because I don't think we ever got like an in-depth, like, obviously when Device gets announced, everybody's looking to Device. What does Device got to say? What does Device think? And nobody really seemed to have gone deep in like what the actual players thought about this move. So obviously, I imagine you're like, you can't even believe it, disbelief. But can you walk us through some of what that actually was? Like what the reaction was when you wound up finding out that Device was soon going to be a teammate of yours?
Yeah, so of course, when we had the meeting and it was announced that we would get Device, first reaction was, am I really going to play with like 4 times major winner?
Yeah.
I was just recently fighting in pugs and things like this. So it was pretty, I don't know if you can say, surreal feeling. It didn't feel real at first. And then after that, I just started, it gave me much more motivation to grind even harder, because obviously I don't want to underperform when playing with the 4 times major winner. So it was just really nice overall.
I guess to stick on the device thing, how did it feel? When he announced that you were you and Manon were his player to watch, or like up and coming player for his top HLTV top 20 thing. How did that feel to you?
Of course, it felt good. Don't really think it has much weight in it though, or however you can call it. But of course, it felt good. It gave me much morale boost as well, and yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's expected, I guess. Okay. I think that's enough. I think that's enough questions. Let's Prinoga, do you have another one?
I'll say the only other point that I wanted to harp on there was the fact that, like, I do find it kind of funny. It's really just a side tangent that obviously ZTR's debut was against Astralis, and that was before the device move, obviously. So it's funny to me that like the timing where his best series ever, the new kid on the block, and then obviously like a few short months later in device is like, actually I like that guy. Let me hop over teams with him. So it's just a funny like little side. I don't know if that came up in conversation or anything, but.
Yeah, it was. I think we laughed about it after device joined.
Yeah, okay.
When we spoke about it.
It's probably it's like, this new kid plays this guy. That's what always happens. You play some guy, you don't know anything about them. It usually only happens against like CIS teams though, where I just play some dude that I've never heard of, and he's just fucking dropping 35 kills on me, and just he's the best player I've ever met and seen in the server of Counter-Strike. That's usually how it goes.
The never-ending saga of mix and CIS teams.
Yeah, it feels like you literally are losing to a new CIS team every week. So
yeah, that's how it goes. You meet a new CIS team you never heard of, and then there's fucking some random guy with an anime profile pic.
And
it's like God reincarnated in the server.
And it's literally just a username that's just either a first name that's not really his name, like Jerry, or it's just 2 words put together that just have no relation to each other.
Can you confirm the struggle of scrimming CIS teams?
Yeah, is this the thing, ZTR?
Yeah, definitely. And with the and my profile picture instantly gives them 10% confidence boost and just overall better play.
I think isn't your profile picture like it's from Naruto. It's
because he understands the principle.
Sensei.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, before Flashpoint, I don't know if you watched any demos or something of it. Everyone in the main team, we switched to anime pictures, but with NIP like logos on them, and we got to the first final in a long time. So
yeah,
listen, they do anything to win. And the NIP anything to win.
That's gonna be the major winning strategy for this year.
From what I remember SSX saying this once was that when he was on Astralis, like this was either just because Zonic was like lazy booking scrims, or there was 200 IQ. It was like they would scrim for the most part, just like random CIS teams. It's like most of their scrims just consisted of CIS teams. And SSI actually thought it was smart, because it's like, listen, if you're playing like random CIS teams or just CIS teams in general every day during practice, and then you get to the officials and you just have to play like Heroic or like G2 or something, right? It seems like 10 times easier than playing Russians.
Yeah.
So it's just like they take like the training weights off, you know what I mean, when they get into the matches.
Yeah.
The mechanics of the CIS players are just incredible, and the randomness of the game,
because it prepares you for everything, literally everything. You have to be ready for everything.
Yeah, it's like elite level pugs basically, because they're also trying so hard because you're Astralis or something in his position. All right, let's move on to the topics though. Let's move on to some of the topics. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the WePlay Academy League, and just disclaimer, I'm obviously employed by them. I'm working with them right now on their desk, and ZTR is competing in the competition. So they invited his team to be a part of this. So there's going to be a slight bias. It's obvious right now. And also, they're kind of the reason that we're doing this a little bit, because they put us in touch. I feel like there was something about you were going to do a pod with us or something like a while back or something, but then it just didn't work out. But now we're back and we're doing it. So that's what's happening. So let's just get started on it. The WePlay Academy League has gone through 5 days so far. And you guys are sitting at, I think, a 2-3 score line. Mm-hmm. And so some of the teams that people might not know here, there's Furia Academy, Big Academy, Young Ninjas, Astralis Talent, NaVi Jr. Oh, so good at my job that I know these off the top of my head.
VP Prodigy.
VP Prodigy, and there's one more, right, that I missed. Who is it? I don't know.
Did you already say Mouse NXT? Or is that
Mouse NXT? Of course. They were one of the favorites going into it. And so ZTR, when you look at these teams, you kind of mentioned already that you kind of thought this would be relatively easy, or maybe not. Yeah. I mean, some of the teams maybe would have been competitive, but some of them don't look that hard on paper. What have they shown you that has obviously made this harder than you originally thought it would have been?
So I'm only going to mention the teams we played, or that we lost to, I guess. Mm-hmm. So Mouse NXT, like before, I think everyone also saw this. Like they are a final contender, or like a title contender, I guess you could say. Like they are one of the teams that I would predict to reach it to the final at least, together with us. And so they've had pretty bad start as well, I believe. They've lost some matches that I don't think they should have lost.
They're 3-2 also. Yeah.
And so I think they're still really good, and that like I feel like in this B1 format, before the playoffs, I think like everyone can beat everyone, to be honest. So it just we're just trying to grind it out until the playoffs comes, and hopefully we'll be there so we can grind some B3 matches.
Yeah. Okay. How about more on a like conceptual side of the thing? What do you think it means to you to have an initiative like this, like an academy, a tournament for academy teams that actually has a really sizable prize pool? Like this has a $100,000 prize pool, and the highest ranked team, was going into this. I think Maus was around the 50th on HLTV. So what does it mean to have like this many resources directed for an initiative like this for you?
It feels really good to feel that like us and all the other teams that are in the league as academy teams are still being prioritized, I guess you can say. That we have a own league, and it's not like a shitty league. It's like actually well made with good prize money, good format with LAN also in the playoffs, which is really good. I feel like it's like nothing like this has been done before.
Okay, I want to get a little bit more political, I guess, and this is kind of an open discussion now. This is happening during the player break, and there have been some people that have expressed their discontent with the scheduling of this. So what do you guys think of the fact that during the player break?
I was hoping that you'd bring this up because I just think that the player break is probably one of the best times to run an event like this. Also, holding, I think, players that aren't really playing top tier events constantly to the same standard of when they're allowed to play events as professional players is a little bit ridiculous, just because for two reasons. One is running a tournament like this during the player break, also where it's best of one matches, you're going to give these players a lot more notoriety, and they're going to get a lot more viewers, because when you look at the HLTV match ticker, there's almost no other matches happening. Because I remember in the past, like every player break, it would just be, you'd get days where there'd be Reddit posts of like, oh look, no matches on HLTV. It's so weird.
Yeah.
And obviously people are still looking at the matches to get a sense of what's happening anyway. And also on top of that, a lot of these players are between 16 and 20, and August, like July to August is one of the main times where these players who are probably still in school are going to have time off from school as well. So even for their schedule, it works best to be able to have a tournament like this during this break. So I thought that whole concept seemed a little bit of not running this event during the player break was a little bit ridiculous.
Mix, what do you think about a tournament during the player break?
I don't mind it, but also I am kind of curious to hear the players' kind of thoughts on it, because it seems like Astralis, Talent, and Young Ninjas have been kind of playing still. They've been playing like a lot of other events as well. So I don't know how much that's necessarily planned around, because also this one was kind of like a bit more last minute. So at least going into the future, I think as long as like the academy teams still have like a proper break somewhere that they can reset and rest and stuff, and they're not just like playing like 365 days of the year. Whenever it's supposed to be a break, they're playing like the official Academy League and stuff. So as long as like the orgs are actually scheduling it properly, I don't see a problem with it, because I definitely think it helps to get more attention on like the teams. And I think if I was a player in one of them, I would be fine with it, just because I feel like it does kind of like increase the notoriety of the event. It feels like just more people watching. It feels more important. It's always just kind of like a nice thing to have playing like any event.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. What do you think about it, ZTR, though? Like, because you're the one that's actually playing in it and dedicating a bunch of time to, making this is the most stressful for you of it. How does it feel?
Yeah, so like for me personally, and I think for my team as well, like of course we don't have any school right now.
Yeah.
But for me personally, at least, I don't have a problem with it being a tournament right now. To be honest, I'm pretty happy, because it's kind of I don't like having too long like time without playing, because then I just feel like I'm honestly wasting time. So I feel like this league was it's pretty nice to have it during the player break. But as you guys said earlier, there should maybe be some designated like at least 1 or 2 weeks break for the people participating in this smaller like the academy teams, where like, of course I didn't play all the smaller tournaments because I was in the main team for a while, but like my team is now in Young Ninjas. They've probably played like 5 times the matches that I have had during the regular season, and now they have to play as well. So maybe they are not as happy about it as I am.
Okay. I think that's all fair.
I think one thing to note as well, though, is that this tournament, the group stage, including the play-in or the last chance stage, ends on August 8th, which technically would still give players the chance to have a week off between that and the playoffs, because the playoffs aren't until the 24th or something like that. And ESEA has already said that any players who want to delay their league matches, because I think the ESEA League start on August 3rd or something, and they've already said that if any players want to delay their matches up until August 15th, they're able to. So I think even with that, if players want to take an extra week off after this group stage of this league ends, I don't think that's necessarily an issue.
Yeah, if you get to the LAN, the matches are actually during, like, not the player break. They're they're August 27, 28, 29, which is like back when competition's supposed to happen. But yeah, like you said, there's no matter what, you will have a week off. And the only reason you actually, if you are a top 3 team, I think you have even like a week and a half off, because you don't have to play. Like, the reason the games even go that long is because there's this like last chance kind of qualifier to make it to the LAN. So that it's kind of like, if you earn it thing, you kind of do get a longer break. So that's
also, for context, I was a bit curious, so I did look it up quickly. I think ZTR played 151 maps in 2021 so far, and his teammate, one of his teammates, played 235.
Oh my god!
So, like, that's just the scale of activity.
Yeah.
Well, it's because when he was on NIP, they'd always win in 2 or lose in 2, and then Young Ninjas go 3 maps. No, that's a crazy amount. That's a crazy amount of games.
That's kind of surprising to me specifically, because one of the things that somebody was saying, I think it was Sticko, when he was on Twitter, he was basically saying, like, oh, what if a player gets promoted up and then they've got to play even more? Apparently, coming from ZTR anyway, you actually get less matches to deal with if you're playing tier 1. So it's actually better in that case. Please sign me up for some more matches so I can get promoted up, so I don't have to deal with that, right? So I don't know. It seems like that
was a weird argument, because I always felt that if you get promoted up, there are less games in scale at the professional level.
Although I would like to say it's like more intense and maybe more practice besides the games.
Yeah. I said this on the Snake and Banter podcast that I do with Thorin, but I was also thinking his argument that, if you get promoted, then you have to play more games. Like, isn't the whole goal though of every player to get promoted. So if you got promoted, I think you would kind of just take it. You'd have to just take it in stride. Surely you'd just be like, you wouldn't be get promoted and be like, nah, sorry, Fury, I just want to take a break. Like, I really need this. You'd just be hungry for it, I think. So,
yep.
Yeah, I went through. If anybody, I have more thoughts about the CSPPA thing, I guess. But I said all of them on Snake and Banter, which also is just released. Maybe we could talk more. We could talk more about some of the league stuff. So, I mean, I've been obviously watching all of it. I've seen every game. You were saying, so how about this? We'll just do this quickly. ZTR, from the first 5 days of play, who do you think are teams that, if right now, who do you think would be the teams that make the LAN? Top 4.
So like right now?
Yeah, you don't have to give an order or anything like that, but yeah, who do you think for
Fnatic and Mouse?
Yeah.
And personally, I think us, but we need to step it up a bit in order for that to happen.
Yeah.
And then I think the 4th place is between Big, because they've been looking really good. I don't know how good they are though. I've only just seen the results, but they've won a good amount of games against like good teams like Mouse. And I think the NaVi Junior, if they can find their consistency, because they can be really good at times, and at other times they can just fall apart and be pretty bad.
Yeah, Big have actually beat NaVi Junior and Mouse already. Like that's pretty nuts. But I'll say just one thing. Like their map pool seems like it's right now 2 maps. Like it's like they can play Mirage and they can play Nuke, but when they played Inferno, maybe it's just Fnatic Rising being incredible, but they looked really kind of weak on it. I'll just say, I mean, whatever. I say it on the broadcast anyway, so it's not like I'm giving you insider info, but their B site looks vulnerable. Like the Prime Taps and Glaive, I don't think they understand how to play like mid-round B site setups and like that.
Yeah.
So I think that might be a weak point for them. Either way, I guess, okay, so the whole point of it also is like not even necessarily the teams. Like sometimes we focus a lot on the players because it's an academy league, and it's not like people are expecting these teams to like reach the top. It's more like a couple players will get plucked from these rosters. So are there any players at this that you think should like get called up, or like who do you think are like some of the best players at this? And don't put anyone on Young Ninjas. So, but like on other teams, who do you think are good? Who do you think's good?
So I'll pick one from each team. I think Aqua. I don't know. I've just seen that he's been getting like 40 kills every single Nuke game at least. So
he's crazy. Yeah, he's
maybe
crazy.
just Nuke is his map, but he's been going crazy there at least. So if anyone is to go there, I think though it's unlikely that they will pick someone from the academy. But if there is someone to pick, it will be Aqua, I think.
Yeah.
From Mouse, I think Torsi is performing the best. And I think he is actually maybe likely in the future to actually go to the main roster.
Yeah, it's possible.
NaVi Junior, I don't. If there's anyone, I'm not gonna say mezii because Simple is on the roster.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna say Ankere.
Yeah.
I think he's the best rifler there.
Mm-hmm.
What more teams are there?
Well, Fnatic. Fnatic has open slots.
Fnatic.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'm gonna say Pepser there. I think he is the best.
Pepser has actually not done that well at the event. It's been like the Regali, and it was the Regali show completely, and then Croesus had a really big performance today. So he jumped up. He's like the second highest rated for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think though that Pepser is I think he's still maybe not performing the best right now, but I think he's the best rifler at least. The team. Maybe it doesn't show in his skills, but I think he's making the right decisions at the right times and things like this, etc.
Yeah. Okay. We'll actually. Oh yeah. What's up?
I just want to say as a general point, it's just really nice to hear like less notable names, like names that people aren't as familiar with in all of this conversation, because there's been a lot of talk about how CS is dying or about how there's nobody coming up. But when you look at a league like this and you hear all of these names, it's just nice to have fresh talent that has some form of a path to get further in the scene as well, and also a way to have their names more well known.
Yeah, it gets you excited.
One thing I am curious about is WePlay. I've only been able to watch a couple of the matches, but the ones that I did, WePlay was showing some of the TeamSpeak comms for an entire round from teams. Is that something that they discussed with the players as well, or is that something that was sort of just put on you guys, I guess?
Yeah, I guess like, and it was just kind of put on us, but like it said in the rules, or like we were notified of it like a few days prior. So I guess we didn't have any problems with it, at least. But I think that if we would have written to them or made a complaint, then they probably wouldn't have used it. But I don't know for sure.
Okay.
Is it an issue for you guys? Like, is it something that you're not really a fan of, or do you not really mind it?
Like I kind of like it when you can hear the comms. Although like you can, like when I watched some of the Astralis Talent game when they won against NaVi Junior, you could hear their team speak, and I think it was like something they hadn't won an official on HLTV since April. And then you can hear the team speak comms after their win against NaVi Junior, and it was just nice to listen to. So I think it's a nice addition, like to feel like the aura in the TeamSpeak at special rounds.
Yeah, so for people that haven't tuned in yet, the way that WePlay has been using them is they will do it 3 times per game pretty much. They'll do it once on, I would say, the first like full anti-eco, so basically like gun round versus literally USPs. So it's very minimal information on that round in general. The second time they'll do it is the second half pistol. They will do it a lot. So they'll just get one team out of pistol round on the second half pistol round. And then the third time they would do it would be once a team reaches match point, they will do it then. So especially like if it's 15-10, or even I don't know if they did it at 15-14. I think they left the casters on when it was like a 30 rounder. But if it was like 15-7, they will just on that round that they after 15-7 is hit, they will just play the comms, and you can hear like the whole buildup of the round and then the winning moment, and it's exciting. And like, I mean, as a fan, it's awesome. I kind of think that one thing though is that like when we heard Fnatic Rising today, they were literally talking about how they knew you threw this smoke and that they knew you were doing something because of it. So I was like, oh yeah, they clearly anti-stratted you, and they clearly were like, we're talking about their anti-strat during that was. So it was very revealing, and it's something that we assumed already. And I think most people like you guys probably felt it. And even Torzy said it. Or no, not. Oh no, he said Torzy said Furia anti-stratted him. But either way, like Fnatic is very obviously anti-stratting everybody in this tournament. So like it was kind of, I think anybody that paid attention knew that anyways. But yeah, I think that's gonna probably do it for the WePlay Academy part of this one. I don't think there's too much more to say. Oh, I will say this: if anybody is a Brazilian listener and they're wondering who's gonna replace Honda, you have like 3 options on this Fury Academy team. you have Pyria, you have Drop, and you have Deceny, and all 3 of them, God, they all probably could do better than Honda. Like honestly, I'm just gonna be real. Like they all look way more competent. Pyria was kind of the best player on Imperial, and then he joined this team, but he's probably too aggressive, so maybe not him. So Drop or Deceny would just kind of fit for Honda's positions really well. But yeah,
obviously, like Safe is probably the best candidate, but his buyout is probably ridiculous.
Yes,
considering Brazilian team buyouts. So unfortunately, that doesn't seem like a reality.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Quickly, I am curious. I had this thought a few years ago, but I sort of iterated on it just now. But what would your thoughts be on a bigger tournament broadcast? So let's say like a Blast or an ESL tournament, having the POV just follow a single player. So say follow Simple or back in the day, I guess my go-to example is follow Kenny S and only have that player's comms be played throughout the round rather than the whole team, so you don't really get as much of the whole anti-strat picture either. But you also get like a POV of a specific player, and you can sort of share that to the broadcast.
Yeah, I think that would be good as well. Maybe I don't know if it would be better. I've never seen it in action. But
Yeah.
So I'm guessing you only hear the person that they're spectating, or
yeah, because my presumption is that a lot of big teams don't want all of their comms shared, and so that would be sort of the best middle ground where you're able to show the POV of a single player.
It would depend on the player. Some might be interesting, but others they wouldn't. But no, I'm just saying also just like some offers that might be like interesting to hear what they're saying, or like if they're like kind of like moving people around themselves. But other people, it's like it might be kind of awkward because they don't really talk much, so you just hear like nothing the entire round, and then you just hear like 1B.
But I think that would be a good idea at least to try.
The whole round is 1B.
You would just that's all you would hear. You would just hear 1B and then you would die and show.
Yeah, just sighs on the mic.
That's all you would hear in the entire round.
Shit, 3B. That's it.
I just think it'd be a nice way to like iterate on a standard broadcast, just add something new to it.
I think that's
standard format.
Yeah, it could be. That's a unique way to do it. I think that as a replay, I think it would be really good as a replay. But because if it's interesting and not too revealing, they could exercise some kind of discretion. But for a whole round, I think that's kind of risky because they might just miss the whole action of the round if it's in a real live match.
True. That's the risk behind it. I think the idea is more that a lot of viewers don't really get the perspective of what playing on the server is actually like for players, because they either don't play the game as much themselves or they only watch a lot of tournaments, and so there's X-ray on all the time. They don't have a sense of how it actually feels to play on the server. So if you were to spectate one player for a round, or at least until they die, then you sort of get that tension of not really knowing where people are, seeing where the nades are coming in, etc. Yeah. That's more where I was coming from, because then you also get that direct player perspective in the server.
I feel like that'd be better suited for like content that they play like like in between maps, like during the breaks. Let's have like the surf stuff on the ESL stream. You would just like have like a round from like a previous tournament that just plays from like that person's POV.
Yeah, like don't you love to surf and chill in the middle of the break between Grand Finals map 1 and 2? Like, isn't that the best time to chill as a viewer when you're supposed to be hyped
surf
up for the next
chill.
Sorry, I couldn't fucking stand that, dude. That was the quickest close browser tab of my life when I'm like watching
what was wrong with that?
No, I'm watching NaVi almost make history, and then Surf and Chill comes on. Dude, I don't want to chill.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay, well,
it's just between the breaks, man. It's just some surfing.
I think I would just prefer like something more focused on the tournament during those kind of moments.
I just prefer less breaks overall in these tournaments. I think Valde even mentioned it on Snake and Banters that there's way too many breaks in matches right now, where there's a 3-minute break in between half times. Overtime has another 3-minute break before you go into it. There's like a 20-minute break between matches, and it just adds so much time to an entire series. It's sort of ridiculous.
I hate the 3-minute break between halftime, because you have to go through the demo and you just have to like fast forward that at 1,000% to get the pistol round started, and it's like, oh shoot, I went too far sometimes, and then I just have to go back, and it's like, I have to rewind a demo.
Yeah, they don't segment it out as a separate round, right? So you
it's not enough. You can't click the next round.
I'm curious on ZTR's POV on that, because I'm guessing that you didn't really get that experience until you started playing on some of the tournaments with NIP, and before it was sort of just matches back to back. Yeah. What was your perspective on going into some of those like long breaks?
Like personally, like we was always at the boot camp, like at the office in Stockholm. So for us, as soon as it hit halftime and it was like a few minutes break, we will just turn around, have a chat about the game, etc., or just how everyone's feeling. So it wasn't that hard, but I don't think, or like. It could definitely be shorter. I don't see a problem in that, because as it wasn't a big problem, but I would rather just play instantly, like normal 20-second delay between the halves, and then just start playing again.
Yeah.
So that's
It feels like it carries some more momentum over a little bit.
Yeah.
Just you don't want to get cold either, like by not playing for three whole minutes.
Yeah,
because it's even longer than 3 whole minutes. You might have died and then freeze. I don't know, time after, and then new freeze time, and yeah, it's like more like 4, I guess, sometimes. Okay. Let's move on to some of our thoughts because Cologne happened. We hadn't done a pod after Cologne finished. I'm sure everybody here was watching it pretty closely. You know, first land back, obviously. And so, what are some takeaways? Mix. I want to hear what's your biggest takeaway from Cologne?
G2 disappointing me once again. I had faith, I believed.
We both picked them as our pick. We both picked them as our pick to win.
I thought this was the time. I thought like it was finally gonna happen.
Yeah,
I was ready for it. But seriously, I don't know. NaVi just looks so good. You have some, not just like simple playing that well, because that's just simple shit, right? But like, it's nice to see them finally have seemingly like a consistently competent third rifler coming into the fray with Bit. That just makes them like even more deadly. So like, I kind of think about some of the rosters they had in the past, and it was kind of ridiculous. Where it'd be like simple and electronic, and then you had like Flamey, Edward, and Zeus. And it's like Flamey had kind of fallen down a bit, so Flamey hasn't really been that in a while. But it's just, I don't know, it's just devastating to play against when you have simple on the server, and then you have electronic there as well, and then finally they have someone that has a fucking like 68% headshot percentage. Just getting more and more comfortable playing.
They got their twist.
Anchor spots. Yeah,
this is also like one of his first big lands as well. I think it might have even been his first big land. Yeah,
his first big one.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It was just nice to see LAN again. Like see everyone in the same place. Obviously, it seemed to treat FaZe well. You know, I mean, I always knew it would. My boy Twist on LAN, you always knew it was gonna go well for them. You know, that was expected. But yeah, overall, I mean. I expected them to beat Gambit, obviously.
What?
Okay.
Excuse me?
No, Mix was out calling the Gambit onliners. Weren't there predictions from everybody who was like the original, you know, the 3 hosts or whatever? Didn't you guys all have predictions for who was going to take the
Nohte said like Gambit to win Navi second, I think.
And FaZe Dark Horse.
So FaZe was his Dark Horse, yeah.
The FaZe did beat my number 1, so
that's true.
I mean, to be fair, I think I definitely overestimated Gambit's first LAN. I thought that they would play a little bit better, but FaZe, like Kerrigan called circles around them in that on that Inferno map for sure. Especially, I don't think Gambit necessarily played bad, but they did. You could tell that they had some nerves. Especially in that FaZe series, they were making some decisions that weren't quite how they would have played previously. I'm not sure how much the impact of not having their coach in their ear had. From listening to their comms, obviously they don't release everything, but from some of their comms videos, it seems like he doesn't do too much. In terms of mid-rounding, it seems like it's a lot more on Chiro and Affinity.
He helps in mid-rounds, but it's very slight direction, or even just like emotional things sometimes.
The emotional side is the big one for me, I think, which is what I felt that they struggled with in those, and especially that FaZe match. They just seemed to teeter a bit.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think Gambits are onliners, and I think they definitely managed to prove that.
I feel like the pressure, like if they're feeling any pressure, I feel like it comes less from the fact that it's on LAN, right? And it just comes more from the fact that like everyone has been talking about if they're going to perform on LAN, if that makes sense. Yeah. It's like there's like a difference there. It's like it's not so much going back to LAN that puts like pressure on them. It's more just the fact that everyone's been talking about how they're going to play in this like specific environment, and I think that kind of can psych you out a bit and add to the pressure. You might start like overthinking it a little bit too much.
Wait, Mix, you're telling me that if a big conversation starts about your team and what they're going to do at their first big LAN event, that means that they might actually like get fucked up like emotionally?
I mean, if the whole community is talking about you or your team, that it makes it harder.
Yeah, from speaking from experience, it just fucks up your entire like what your expectations should be. Like,
ZTR, do you think you can attest to this? That when people talk about you all the time, that it gets a little harder?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It just fucks up your expectations of where you think you should be. It's like we had played like on C9, right? We had failed to qualify for Katowice, and that was like our first event with Zeppa or something.
Yeah.
It was either like the first or second event.
Did you lose to
like,
Vodafone?
That was a
yeah,
that was like
I know.
But it was like even from the very start, like the first event where we didn't do well with Zeppa, we like lost to OG in like a close BO3. Like lost to OG, a good team, right? I could already tell that within certain people in the team, like they'd already felt that they were like failing that roster because they failed to qualify. Like because we had been together with Woxic for a bit, and then like we got Zeppa, and then like we didn't do that well at like the first event, and it already seemed like that like people's like personal expectations in their head, like that like we were already like falling behind. When I was like, dude, it's like, we'd only been playing with like together for like 2 months before that event because there was like the player break and shit as well, and then it's like you just started like I don't know. It's just that shit when everyone's talking about your team and like keeps harping, especially on like the same point. So for Gambit, it's like how are they gonna play on LAN? Like at a certain point, it becomes less like the actual how you're playing on LAN that starts affecting you, and more just like once you get to the event, you're like thinking about what the community's gonna like say about how you play.
So going back to Cologne here, what was your guys' biggest disappointment? You can include the play-in stage if you want.
Mine's quick. Mine's quick and easy because I was going to talk about it as my takeaway. Is that Yakinder didn't swing as much as he normally does. I swear he didn't. I swear he did not. Yakinder, yeah, I love you, man, but dude, like I could tell you did not take those wide swings with the confidence that you normally do on overpass, especially in your guys' elimination game, dude. Those like or not the elimination series. I mean, not the map, but the one against Astralis. There would have been like 3 times if you did a normal swing that if he did a normal swing that he would have done online, he would have killed them because they would have had their nades out. They weren't ready for it, but he stopped himself so many more times. He was like, he could have wide. So I remember this time they got on A bomb site. He knew that Glaive and I think Dupree, I think was it Glaive and Dupree, maybe Glaive and somebody were like stuck it long, and they were literally just had their nades out as they were running away, and he just like he just stopped, and I was like, I don't believe this is the guy that I know. I don't believe this is Yakindar anymore. So
like one. No, go ahead.
Yeah, and also the round where they knew Astralis did a 4-man T side boost and no one took map control. I was like, are you kidding me right now? Like, what are you guys like? You guys really? He shot the op shot. He didn't get a kill with it, and yet no one pushed into any new spots at all. I was like, you guys scared of the one lurker that's possible right now? Like, there's no way this is the VP that I'm used to. So VP were my biggest disappointment, mostly because I saw their nerves come out on overpass, and that was such a close map that if they just took that one, I mean, that one went to OT, and they won Dust 2 after that. If they won that, they could have been a semifinalist here. So VP, they let me down on that one map.
Is Yakinder's failure to swing out as many times as he should have, in your opinion, is that the same thing that Mix was talking about, though? Because everybody, like, straight, not just the swings, but everybody was saying, oh, yeah, Yakinder's never going to play like this on LAN. Like, is that more of the same sort of narrative that maybe got into his head, you think?
Maybe after getting stopped like once with a wide swing, you kind of feel like I don't want to take that same wide swing unless it's a safe one. Yeah, I think that's kind of always been the mentality at LAN. That's like it's not necessary. The mechanics are a little different because of online swings. Just having the ping is different, but also it is something where once you get just laser beamed on LAN, you just kind of feel in the moment, I don't want to do that again. I'm just gonna like wait for my team. So you lose some of that nerve. Yeah,
I think one of the problems with that is that if that's getting to him right now, once we get to LANs with crowds, that's gonna be even worse. Like the pressure that's added on from that is just gonna stack with that.
He did better on Dust 2. Like he was doing it on Dust 2. I'll say that first map though, he had nerves, and then when his Dust 2 game, he dropped 40 kills. Like
yeah,
they were gone, but he just didn't do it in crucial moments sometimes when it could have swung them. So that's like okay, but like ZTR, what was your takeaway or disappointment from watching Cologne? That you weren't in it?
Like yeah, that as well, and probably mouseports. I would like to see like I thought that they would reach much further into the tournament than they actually did with the recent results at Flashpoint and such. So yeah, just probably mouseports. I would like to see them go. I would have liked to see them play better than they did.
Yeah, they came in. They didn't even.
16th.
They basically got first rounded, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bad news bears died for
speaking-
this.
I was gonna say, I don't know, kind of speaking of like the team that Mouse lost to, the Liquid. Yeah, I don't know, something about this Liquid lineup, right? And like the current roles in the team just ain't it for me. Like I just feel like it doesn't quite mesh, you know? Like it's not there. Like it still just feels like a bit of a mess for me. Like the current
I might be
iteration
wrong,
of
but
Liquid.
didn't I heard from somewhere, or read somewhere that Stewie is IJling?
Yeah, he is.
Or am I wrong?
Yeah, they said that recently that he took it back
Yeah.
over.
It's just like it's the combination of like who's calling. Fallen as like Fallen to Opping, if he's not calling, hasn't really been like spectacular or anything. It's been like, you know, just whatever. And then like the fact that Grim is still pretty much in like all of the bitch roles kind of. He plays like every like small site anchor role. Plays like most of like lurking spots, like the small side lurking spots on T side and stuff. So it's like the fact that he's not like like a trying to think of what I was saying.
Pack.
Like, he's not like
in the pack.
The fact that he's not a focal point in the team.
Mm-hmm.
From like how the team is surrounded and like kind of like how Fallen's playing and like who the fuck is calling. Like I don't know. To me, it just doesn't feel like it's quite meshed. It doesn't make as much sense as like the team with, you know, back in 2019 did is for me, where it's like I could tell like the identity of the team. I could tell like who was supposed to be playing well, like the purpose, like if everyone was in like good spots for them.
Yeah.
But like on this team with like Fallen and Grim at the moment, it just doesn't feel like it's there.
Yeah.
It sort of makes me think of what Twist said when he left the team, which was that they don't really like they're not willing to make large changes necessarily because I think he wanted to start opping, which for one is a little bit weird just because
I wouldn't make that change either.
Yeah, I wouldn't make that change either.
Yeah.
But he did say that they're not willing to make as large changes, and that was actually one of the things that Fallen said after one of the CS Summit matches as well, which is that they already have very set protocols in their team and they have them very structured. And when he tried to come in and add his own system to it, they were sort of clashing with that. And so they ended up, that's part of the reason why they went back to Stewie calling, because they already had really good set protocols set up. But once you do that, you do sort of become stagnant at some point. And that seems sort of where they're at, because Elige obviously is one of the best riflers in the world. It's hard to sort of take him out of some positions, but also Grim is a very talented player, and it seems that he doesn't really get his time to shine a lot. Like he sort of, he for example, on that overpass game, he started off really hot, but then he cooled off once they switched sides, and it's sort of just, you don't get to see him get running, and when he does, then it's just, oh, Grim's playing well at this map, and then it sort of cools off because he doesn't really get the opportunity to shine as much.
Yeah.
Next, who is your biggest disappointment? Or take away?
Well, he was disappointed and took away G2.
True.
I was more just disappointed in Liquid just overall. Because like they had the mouse win, but like aside from that, they didn't really do anything too special, and I didn't think they looked too well at the moment.
Yeah,
I think they still have to like figure out. I don't know. I feel like there's still things that need to like be changed around in that team. We'll see what Adren kicks up.
Yeah,
mine was OG getting knocked out in the play-in stage by Renegades.
That was a yikes. That was a yikes for them. OG losing to Renegades, basically.
Oh, that's right.
BO3 in particular. Yeah,
that's right.
But what would you expect if they beat Renegades? Where do you think they would have landed?
In the main event, you mean?
Yeah. They would have had.
I don't think they make playoffs, but maybe they go like 9th to 12th, 13th to 16th. I don't think they got first rounded. I think they probably got 9th to 12th or something.
So they would have had the same games as Renegades. So they would have played NaVi first. I think they lose that. I think they beat I think they would beat Furia though. And I think they actually could have beat Heroic, and then they could have beat FaZe. Like I actually think there is a world where they make that lower bracket run. I think that's totally possible.
I agree actually.
Yeah, OG though is like perpetually this team that is kind of just been disappointing me. That I feel like they keep having pieces that make sense. I like, I think Flames looked really good in some of their games, and then Yeah, they just kind of come up short, and I don't think like Alexi B is a bad IGL. I think just people kind of understand what an Alexi B led team feels like to play against now. So his unique style of kind of like pulling groups of people around and moving them together doesn't feel as novel as it once did. Whereas with ENCE, it was like, holy crap, like nobody moves people like this. And now it's like, yeah, we know you're going to take bracket and then like come outside of bracket and then go back in bracket. Like we know that's happening. So we're not surprised anymore. So I think he has to need to reinvent some of his like mid round a little bit. ZTR, what do you think? What do you think about OG's calls?
Actually, I don't know too much about them. I'm a pretty big fan of Alexi B. Or Alexi B, sorry. I really like him as a player. I watch pretty many of his demos actually, because he plays similar CT positions at least, and he has these really good like gimmick smokes or like just overall really good moves on almost every position. But about the calling, I haven't focused too much on it, so I can't actually say too much about it.
Okay. Do you for other teams? Actually, let me look back at who you guys played for Flashpoint 3, because there's some obviously very relevant teams that you have now some good experiences against. You guys beat G2. How did you guys beat them on Inferno and Dust? You lost on Mirage. How did their style feel to you? Like, what made that? What about them? You know, took you so close? Like, it was just the deciding map was 30 rounds, and you guys lost on Mirage to them also. What about them makes them feel like, because they're a top 5 team in the world now? Like, I don't think there's any question about it. Why do you think they're so good?
Ooh, it's a really hard question, to be honest. It was a bit of a long time ago as well since we played them, but I would just primarily say that they just have such insane individuals, and Amanek has converted really good, I feel like, into the op role. He's doing really good, almost better than some other main oppers that have been playing it for like several years. So I think that, and in combination with their overall, it just feels like they are so well connected together, or however you want to call it. They're just like a well-oiled machine.
Like their structure helps them.
Yeah, exactly.
Too. Okay.
And then just any bad situation they come in, they just have Hunter, Nico, or Amanek to just headshot cheap people.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, how about when you played against tier 1 teams more, which team felt like their structure or their style was the hardest to play against?
I would like to say the first time we played, I think I only faced Furia once, but like the first time I faced them, it was really hard to play against them. But if I would like, it was just mostly because I was not prepared to the chaos, or however you want to call it.
Yeah.
When
facing, when you play Fury, you gotta embrace the chaos.
Yeah, exactly. But like the team I felt like did it the best, I feel like Gambit did it really good, and it was really hard to play against them.
Okay. I feel like everybody that comes on here has said that, honestly. Yeah. I think there's a trend. Yeah. Okay. Let's okay, that's it. I think that's it for. You know what? Okay, we have to talk about NaVi a little bit more, because like NaVi's. There's always some people in these YouTube comments that are like, barely said anything about NaVi, but they won. Like, we barely did say anything. So we like Bit. We like that he's a secondary or tertiary star for this team. I'll say that I like NaVi's structure a lot more now. I think that they set themselves up in T-side rounds a lot better than they used to. I feel like I can see the plan at the beginning of almost every round for them. I'm not going to say every round, but I will say most rounds. I do really get the plan. They have a lot of tricks too, like when they take outside yard on Nuke, how they throw just kind of that one corner smoke, and then isn't that what about? Was it Fang? I think was it Fang?
And the one in front of Mini?
Yeah.
Fang was talking about it.
Yeah, and then they used it in the G2 final, like where they would throw the Mini kind of corner smoke, and then Electronic would kind of like fight with it, but then he would just right click his own smoke so he can get into Big Garage on his own, and he kind of like gets to do that audible on his own, where he's like do I want to do this or not? And then, it's a really cool kind of sequence. So they do have, they're doing a lot to get them in very uncomfortable positions, because it really does seem like when NaVi is in uncomfortable positions, they have a knack for converting. And a few months a few months ago, those kind of rounds would happen where they'd get into those uncomfortable positions, but then they would just kind of run the clock out because they don't know what to do. But now they do. Now they know what they need to do to convert those kinds of rounds. So I think that they're like, it was kind of like a work in progress, and I think it's coming together. It's clearly coming together. They just won the biggest tournament. So
honestly, the fact that they won the final 3-0 is surprising. I thought they would win, but NaVi just has a tendency to let their foot off the gas a little bit after they win a map.
Yeah.
So I did expect them to lose at least one map in the series, but the fact that they swept it was a little bit pleasant, honestly. It's nice to see NaVi just sort of take a series decidedly. Simple obviously was in an entirely different dimension to every other player in this event. It was kind of
Unfair.
disgusting.
He's unfair. ZTR, what do you think? What do you think of at NaVi at this event?
Yeah, they just looked like it was some games it came close. Like the team actually won a map against them. Or did they even? Yeah, I think so. It was like in the semi.
They lost they
lost out to Renegades.
They lost maps to
Flawless, Vitality, and Renegades all took maps.
The group stage they lost maps. In the playoffs they were 5-0.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so it barely looked like teams could even touch them, to be honest.
The thing is that
yes.
I was gonna say in this series that even the series that they lost maps on, like the other two maps of the series in like each game was like not even close.
Yeah.
They didn't actually come close to like losing any of those series.
It just felt like as soon as they lost a map, it was just like a slap in their face, and then they just activated again into killer mode. Didn't feel like anyone could come close to beating them.
I just look at how someone can be like that good. Like, how can someone be like that much better than like everyone else? Like, it blows my fucking mind.
Yeah, same here.
It's literally like he's like smurfing. Like, like I'm not even kidding. Like, it literally just feels like he's literally smurfing in matchmaking. Like,
I'm just so glad that's possible, because in CS especially, like esports, it really feels like, people can have these peaks that last a few months here and there, and then you're like, okay, that was cool. That it was cool that Config was the best player in the world for 3 months, but now he's just like, he's really good, obviously, but he's not like no one would say that today. But then Simple just kind of breaks all like any fundamental you had about the game in terms of what's possible and what's sustainable. He just like works harder than you thought possible, so much so that he can make Nico not even look that good. Like, it's so crazy. It's so insane how much better he is than everybody. And I like, when I used to look at his hours all the time, it really was like 90 hours past 2 weeks at a bare minimum always. Like, it's frequently like 120, 130 hours past 2 weeks guy. So I'm really curious what his total hours on CS is right now. I bet I wouldn't be surprised if it's over 20,000 hours.
I believe like it was on some LAN. He tabbed into like the shift tab on Steam, and then you can see at the top right or top left his hours. I believe it was at least 15K, and that was like 1 or 2 years ago.
It's surely
20K.
It's surely 20.
It's gotta be.
Yeah, like, so we're really close. That's insane. ZTR, how many hours do you have?
Like about 13K hours maybe.
Whew, dang.
How many hours you got, Alex?
They're active, but yeah.
I have 5,700 hours, and I played 5 seasons of Premiere, so that's I'm proud of that.
No, how many hours?
Across my accounts, probably like 7,000.
Dude, what the fuck? I have like the least amount of hours here.
How many did you have? 4,000. Oh, but how many like programs do you use?
Yeah, well, a lot of my hours are in Rewinds. In Rewinds, the demo viewer, I have 940 hours.
Oh, okay.
So
you
that's
have,
just
Wait, does that tracks your hours?
software
Yeah,
on
'cause
Is it on
Steam tracks
Steam?
your
it's on
hours.
Steam.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know it was on Steam. Okay.
Yeah.
But actually, it shows up in rewinds. But I think because it uses something from like CS or whatever. So like if someone were like go to my profile and check out like my game history, it actually shows up in Counter-Strike. Or no, sorry, it doesn't show up, but it still shows up in like my past hours and like the last 2 weeks.
Last 2 weeks hour. It
Yeah,
shows
yeah.
that. Yeah. That being said, I probably have watched more VODs than I think all of you. Or like, yeah. I don't know. Maybe ZTR is a VOD grinder. I don't know. I doubt you watch VODs.
Demos.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
You're watching demos. I use SkyBox, which didn't used to count hours because it was a standalone program, but shout out to SkyBox because now that it's open for everybody. That's brand new news today. But yeah, anybody can download SkyBox now. But yeah, I don't think I have
it's even free.
It is free. It's free, and anybody can download it on Steam. So
We used it to look at today's loss. Actually,
it's so fast.
Yeah,
it's so good and fast. Honestly, I love the. Okay, actually, now that we're on the topic of it, ZTR, what programs do you use?
So like mostly the ESEA
Refrag.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And or shadow.gg.
Yeah.
Mostly shadow.gg for preparation against teams because it's much faster and easier to see like patterns and positions people like to play because it's just like a 2D replay.
Yeah. Gnosis is probably the best anti-stratting tool for 2D stuff. Would you? Well, Mix, would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
I don't really like rewind or like I wouldn't use SkyBox for like anti-stratting.
Oh no, like, SkyBox isn't really an anti-stratting tool for me.
I don't really like how like the view it gives, at least for me. Like if I didn't have rewind's just the easiest for me and the best because like I can click on like having like the bottom row has like all the nades in the round like lined up for me, so I can just like right click on each of them, which makes anti-stratting super easy.
Yeah.
But like if I didn't have rewind access, I would just use Gnosis most likely.
Yeah. Have you ever used Gnosis, ZTR?
I think, but that was like in Prima. It was like 2 or 3 years ago when I played in Advanced. So I'm not that familiar with it, but I just noticed, or like when in the main team, we used Shadow.
Yeah, okay. Shadow's decent. Yeah, Shadow's good.
I know a lot of people use Shadow. Just the best thing about Gnosis is just that you can like highlight an area of the radar of the map, and like all the nades that were thrown in that area. It'll tell you what time they were thrown at, and then also you can load in like 10 demos of a team at the same time, so you can see like, okay, every time this smoke lands in this one spot at 140, that means they're running this strat. So that was like, dude, for anti-stratting premier teams, oh my god, it just made it so easy. Like when I actually used it, oh my god,
and a premier team specifically.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, if they're throwing that smoke, they're not faking.
Variety? I don't think so.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean,
yeah. Outside of SkyBox, Gnosis is the only tool that I really enjoyed using or anything like that.
Yeah. Okay, let's get into some Patreon questions. We're definitely past the halfway point already because we went pretty long on everything else. But let's go. Okay, so Patreon questions. We got a couple here. So the first one we got, Pranogo, do you have the names of them, or I think I have them? I'll just read the names out. I got it still.
If you got it, you got it. Otherwise, I can.
Yeah, I got it. So we got Bill, and Bill is wondering, hello, I just resubscribed, but on round 27 of the third map of G2 vs NaVi, Hunter started planting the bomb with 13 seconds left. He got off, and then G2 shortly lost the round. Some people said it was because he was reacting to electronic from ramp, but others say he reacted to simple opening the door and electronic wasn't a factor. What was the right play here? So we all just took a look at this together from Hunter's POV right before this podcast, so we can answer this question adequately. And I think that, I mean, step in if I'm speaking for anybody, and I shouldn't be, but I think we all believe that Hunter was planting. He knew that simple opened the door, and he thought he could swing and kill him because there were still like 13 seconds. Yeah, hey, we all think that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it just seemed like he wanted to take the fight.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like for me, like this is one of those situations where like if I was like reviewing it with my team or something, I wouldn't spend more than like 10 seconds on it because it's like such like there's like 13 seconds left. Like a 3v3 with 13 seconds left when you're still trying to get the bomb down is just fucking chaos in any situation. Like there's no like correct way to play that. Like it's just chaos in the moment. Like shit's gonna happen. Whatever happens. And it's just one of those moments that you just kind of have to like move on from afterwards. Like to me, the most
really stressed.
Yeah, it's like to me, like the comms are going to be so stressed. You're not going to have any idea like exactly of what's going on, especially when you were like just like rushing down lower just now, and like NaVi's like down the van and they're like surrounding you and shit. It's like it's one of those things to me that's just like it just happened, and it's like not really something you can spend too much time looking back on.
ZTR, having rewatched the clip, what do you think you would have done if you were Hunter?
I guess just held the bomb, but the thing is that
there's no way to know. Yeah, there's no way to know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like you'd say, I probably would have reacted like this, but it's like when you're in the moment, it's like
he probably didn't realize that no one was holding him, and it was just so much going on. So he just had to do the play.
I think what he thought was just that if I get off this now, Simple just opened the door and is taking a fight. I can kill Simple and make this a 3v2. Like, wouldn't anybody just be like, give me that, right? So that's what he thought. It was clearly wrong because he couldn't get the kill and Simple had strafed away.
Because also, he has to make sure that he can actually get the bomb down. Because if someone's not covering a single and Simple just rushes out on him and, like, kills him, like, most likely the round's already over at that point. Like, Hunter still has time to, like, try to look for, like, one kill and then plant in, like, a safer spot. I think that's what he was trying to do.
Yeah, that's actually a much more composed decision than we might even think it is, just because like 13 seconds left for maybe Hunter. I don't know how cool. I mean, it seems like it was chaotic. It was like he might not have done it if it was a different situation, but he might have thought, oh, this is calculated. Like I'm gonna get this kill, then I'll just go back to planning, right? Like.
Also, for us, it's just easier because we had all the information as to where the other two players were. Like, he doesn't know how close Electronic is on ramp. Like, in the clip, Electronic was still around the ramp box and just starting to come down. But he could have just as well been right up close to ramp to peek him at the same time. So he has no idea on that information either.
Right.
Yeah. So it's just one of those situations where it's like, if you were G2 and you wanted to look at what went wrong, you'd have to look at, like, the minute before you went down lower to ramp, figure out how exactly it got to that point.
Why is it a 3v3 instead of a 4v3 or
and so it's like, but like once it's like a 3v3 and you're trying to get the bomb down, there's like 13 seconds left and you're getting surrounded. Like at that point, it's just instincts. Like whatever happens.
Yeah, those players just playing off of experience. Like
there's no way to like make like correct decisions. Exactly in the moment in that situation.
Actually, okay. Side question for ZTR here. When you were on NIP and it was some hectic situation or something like that, how composed was it with 10 seconds left? Was it like holy shit, or were people's comms like really good? Like how clean was it for you?
It definitely varied from time to time. I think everyone was pretty calm. If there was someone not calm, it would be most likely me. I would like to say, I would be the one speaking the most if it was like in a stressful situation, etc. It was like that in prior teams as well. I just speak a lot, kind of. I give information, etc. And maybe sometimes too much. And so it's pretty composed for the rest of the team. I'd like to say. Everyone was really calm and collected, ice cold. Things like this.
Okay. Second Patreon question. We've got we got Firsoch, longtime supporter here. He gets 2 because he donated actually more, and so he made it up a couple tiers on the Patreon tier list. His first question is, who is the second best player on FaZe? Are they a good enough complement to Twist to make the team the best in the world, or do FaZe need a new player to replace any of their current ones? So let's just start with the first part. Who is the second best player on FaZe? No, who do you think it is?
That's got to be Brokey. Yeah.
TTR, would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I will say, sorry, go ahead.
No, I just think it's Brokey also.
Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but in terms of the second part of the question, if that player is good enough to be like the second best player, I would say no. I don't think Brokey is enough as like the second best player on the team to like consistently be like top 5, like I'm sure FaZe wants to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like at the moment, it's just more. It's also in that like I don't think you want Brokey to be like your second best player, at least from what I've seen at the moment, and also just in terms of like the other 3 players, just in terms of like pure fragging, headshotting like you have to do in Counter-Strike, just don't necessarily do enough. I'm sure they all have their roles and they all play their roles to a certain amount, but at the end of the day, you still need to have star players and people filling that void behind. So I don't know. I think Brokey as the opper, maybe if you had like another like really good fucking rifler alongside Twist, it could work. And you had like that supportive element and like Kerrigan and someone else, whether it's like Olaf or Rain or whoever. But it's like if Rain isn't necessarily stepping up consistently and playing like the level he could play out of like 2017 or so, and he's not able to get there, and so you just have like Twist and Brokey, I don't think it's necessarily good enough to be like consistently top 5.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me personally, in terms of FaZe, I think I said this before. I don't know. I'd really like to see if they could either go 2 routes, right? You could keep Brokey as the opper, or you could even like bring in another opper in the team to replace like Olaf or someone. And Brokey, like what he was doing before he was opping, what he was brought into FaZe to do, when he was doing on like an FPL and like teams before that, was he was like really good, almost like an oboe type player, where like he was playing like a lot of like those like small side anchors and like lurking and stuff, and he was doing it like really well. It was just like a super valuable player to have at like positions like that.
Okay, I would add on that kind of to really focus on how the question is. Are they basically if like the 3rd, 4th best players are just barely a notch below Brokey, I feel like that kind of could work. But like if you actually look at it, like FaZe, the only 2 people that went positive even at IM Cologne were Twist and Brokey. So if there were just a little bit more help in a 3rd rifler or something like that, the thing is, I feel like they're so far away from being like the best. So the question does say, are they good enough to complement Twist to make the team the best in the world, or do they need a new player to replace any of their current ones? I think they're pretty far from being the best team in the world.
Definitely.
It's like the
thing is that I don't think they could get there. Like even like if they only place one of Rain or Olaf, the other person still needs to like step up massively.
Yeah.
Yes. In the world, like those are the 2 players that are like, I think Kerrigan, Twist, Brokey, that's like a really solid core, and then they need to figure out what's the deal with Rain and Olaf, because I don't think, because Kerrigan's never going to be like a good fragger himself. Like he's going to be there to like make space. He's going to go in and die for you, and then you're going to trade off of him and kill him, right? He's going to make calls and like he's going to tell you how to play. But like you still need like 2 other good players to at least be playing decent. Like you need like another like really sick player to go alongside Twist and Brokey, and then one of Rain or Olaf has to be consistently stepping up a bit more and playing better.
I mean, I just don't see who you would get to replace either Rain or Olaf right now, in terms of that. Like anybody who's super sick as a rifler.
What do you mean, bro? Zipnix.
No, that's what I was about to say. There's the Danish leaks rumor of Olaf Zipnix replacing Olaf, which like in a way maybe it could work, because you might free up Rain from some of the anchor roles, and he could be a little bit more impactful. But I don't know. I don't think that would. I don't even think that move would make them contend for #1 in the world. Like I don't think that's enough.
It has to be. Yeah, it has to be more. That's why I almost
want what do you think here? Yeah, I'm curious.
I don't know actually. I think maybe Dupree going to FaZe would make more sense to me. If you think that they need more firepower.
Dude, if it were just Dupree for Rain, it would be just a flat out upgrade. It would just be nasty.
Dupree and Zip for Olaf and
my god. Okay, that is the lineup right there. That's the lineup.
You just have the old TSM core. Kerrigan, Zip.
Yeah. And then you replace Brokey with a device.
Don't be that guy.
I'm just kidding. Yeah. I'm just kidding. Okay. Is that it we got on that one? I think so. Yeah. So he donated enough that he has like there's this other part of our Patreon tiers where you actually can request us to talk about a player or particular team. But he says, Firsoch says, I can't really think of any pro teams. So could you just talk about the open team you played on with Semphis and what that whole thing was like? So so for people that maybe aren't following that closely, I just played open with Valens, so C9 major winning coach, now the head of data science at EG, Semphis, who I think people just kind of know, like in general now. Semphis he's been to 3 major playoffs, but obviously has been kind of removed from the top tier for a while. And then the other 2 people we played with were Cobra, who's kind of an FPL farmer in North America. He's won a pretty recent week. He's kind of consistently in the top 10 in NA FPL. And then Sideways, who is actually a guy that played Premier kind of more near the start of CSGO. It was like, I think he played like 2014, probably 2013, 2014. He was playing Premier. He played under E mode, and he's actually a guy that I've played CS Source with since 2007. So he's like one of my older friends. And we were just pugging. We didn't practice at all. And Valens was IGLing. Of course, like Semphis and I would kind of like sometimes throw in input here and there, but we just were playing for fun, and we came in second place. And we lost to a team that was basically like just like a main playoff team, but they clearly had strats and they clearly practiced and they like had good teamwork, and you know they worked for this, and we were just showing up for matches, and we still came in second place. So that was just good fun. That's pretty much all it was. It was like it was literally 5 hours before the season, like the roster lock, or like you had to have X amount of teams, like players on the roster. Valens just hit me up and said, hey, do you want to play open? So we just kind of assembled some people and we did it. And I thought Cobra was going to leave all season because he should be on a better Premier team, like at least a Premier team. But he just stayed on for the ride because he didn't really, the offers he got versus us, he just kind of enjoyed playing with us more, which I'm thankful he did that because he owned. So yeah,
it kind of sucks because Cobra is one of those players who does deserve to get like. I wish more organizations were picking up NA teams because Cobra is a player you could build around for that.
Yeah, he's definitely like, dude. Also, the thing is about our season is that Cobra is like, he's like usually like in NA Premier, he puts up like a 1.1 plus rating consistently as an opper. He rifled with us the entire season. Like he opped a couple times because I literally was like, when it was like a rougher CT half, I would just drop him off, and I just said, Cobra, just opt this round, please. Just do it. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. I don't know if anybody else can have any input, honestly, because that's the whole thing. So let's just move on from that. So we're going to go into some of the news here. The first thing, some kind of cool, good news, I would say. But what's your guys' take on the fact that Valve is running this $1 million art workshop contest?
That's it. I like that they revealed the tier list of the skins before it actually went live, because then people know what they can make their skins for.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Did you read all like the rules and stuff on it?
Some of it. I know that people were complaining about the fact that the skin creators won't get a percentage of the case sales like they usually do. So for context, usually when a skin is submitted to a case and the case gets released, every key that gets bought, a portion of it goes to Valve and a portion of it goes to every skin creator that made money that made a skin in the case.
Right. And
typically that amounts to like from some comments from skin creators that can be anywhere between like $50,000 plus, usually per skin. But what Valve has said with this contest is that you won't get a portion of the sales; you'll just get $100,000 up front. And people were getting pissed at that, like, oh, Valve is like stealing, like taking away opportunities from people. But that's one of the dumbest things I've seen, because even these skin creators who make these cases are saying that they get that money over like multiple years of time. Like, you can get over $100,000, and that does happen sometimes, especially for cases that have been in the game for a long time. You can get that over a year or longer. But this is an upfront payment of $100,000. Like that's just the trade-off you're getting, right? Like, it's why are people complaining they're literally getting like 6 figures up front. That doesn't make any sense to me. That there's complaints about that.
I guess the biggest issue is probably taxes regionally. Will probably take a lot of that depending on where you live. So it might actually
take it anyways.
Yeah.
They'll get it in the end anyway.
They will get it eventually, but I feel like maybe I don't know if there's a different conversion, because I think in America there are specific rules if you won a contest that are different than if you're just being paid for work. So I don't actually know how that would equate out, but something tells me the people who are complaining about this didn't consider this particular part of the argument, and they were just complaining because they didn't get the percent sales on top of it. But who knows? I just find it funny.
I think the people complaining probably have never made a skin in their life.
Yeah, there's
and
that
they're just people on Reddit.
I just find it funny that Valve took the $1 million for the major that never happened a couple of years back and said, "Hey, we'll throw it in here." And they found another use for it. So good on them.
On the plus side, it seems like this will come out with another operation.
Yeah, I think
time-wise.
Yeah. I think this is just like generally a positive. I guess people can have these like cynical views on why this money is not good, but dude, yeah, like 6 figures up front, and even if it's taxed, is still pretty good to me. I just don't see any reason why I'm upset about this. It's just so cynical. Like there's just I kind of in a way can't be bothered with it. And yeah, I like that you mentioned how they had the skin, like we kind of know now what's coming in the next skin or the next case. Like it's gonna have a red AK basically, and it's gonna have it's gonna have no M4A4, which is just great because God, we get some better A4 skins, man. I just want some better A4 skins in this game, man. Like that's my negative about this. It's not some money thing. It's just that why is there no M4A4 skin in this case that's upcoming? That pisses me off because we really need better skin. Dude, this new A4 skin, ZTR, what do you think of the new A4 skin? The freaking like super clip.
The one with the Japanese letters, or which one?
I think it's got it's the one that came in the most recent case. It's the in living color one. The in living color one from the Snakebite collection. Yeah, does it have Japanese on it? I don't know. It's like it kind of reminds me of like Glitch Pop from Valorant.
Yeah, to be honest, I switched from the A4 to the A1 mostly because like 50% because most pro or like their pros are using it, and 50% because there are no good skins on the A4, as you said.
Exactly.
All the good skins are on the A1s.
Dude, exactly. We're getting freaking pros switching just because of skins, man. Like, come on, give us a freaking good A4 skin.
Skin for a gun I will never equip. Very useful. Why equip the A4, dude? Don't you understand in this economy for CTs to not save those $200, man? Get the A1S. It's just as good in most cases. You'll be fine.
I feel like that's not true though. The A4 has some nice skins. Come on now.
It's got some okay skins. I use the Dragon King myself.
There's like the Emperor. Yeah, there's the Emperor. I use the Dragon King too.
Listen, I've always been a big fan of the Desert Strike, and I think a lot of that comes from nostalgia of when like 2014. That was like the M4A4 skin that Shroud would use. So it just reminds me kind of like of Shroud streaming CSGO at that time. So I think it's a nice skin.
I remember the Zerka was like the first skin, and it's like no one uses it anymore because that shit is just ugly. That is not a good skin. Okay, I think that's our takes on the skin contest.
Skin talk.
Some skin talk. Okay, some actual like roster moves though. There's been a lot of stuff that happened with complexity. Actually, even another change that happened after I wrote the topic list. Yeah, so we got complexity removing Rush. They added ESEA tag for Rush, and then for Keita, their coach, they put in Peacemaker. So, DTR, do you think Rush was? Do you think Rush for ESEA tag is going to elevate complexity?
Well, it's hard to see. I didn't really follow complexity that much. Obviously, Rush didn't have the best of individual performances, but at the same time, I felt like, and everyone is just calling him a really selfless player who is just basically going in and finding the info, basically probably just dying for his team. So it will be probably a change of how complexity play now, with not having such a player as Rush just going in front and dying for the team. it'd be good, nice to see how they will adapt to playing with ESEA.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any opinions on Peacemaker?
No, not really. Never spoken to him or like heard anything of what he's doing, so no general opinion.
Okay. Note or Mix, you guys have opinions about this?
I really like changes actually. I
really
feel
like what? Sorry.
I really like these changes. So
Okay.
I felt like I kind of like the direction they're going. So it's like I don't think Rush is necessarily like the problem, and I think something that they're still gonna have to figure out in the next few months is with Poison, because it's like he's not really playing good enough, just in general, especially for I think the type of opera he is. You know, like you can have like an opera hovering around like a 1.0 rating if you're like 2019 Liquid, where like your opera is literally like the least important focal point of the team. But it's like on a team with like on a player with like Poison, I don't think that's necessarily the case. So I think getting ESEA tag for Rush was good. Rush obviously has been kind of struggling on this team, and sometimes it's like, you know, just getting like a mental reset somewhere else and playing somewhere else would be good for him. You know, not having to play from hotel rooms for a year and a half, like just moving around, which is unfortunate for Rush, but it still just makes it have more sense to get ESEA tag because he's just comfortable, you know, living in EU with wherever he is. So And ESEA tag, I'm really glad he's going back to kind of like playing these kind of roles and this kind of similar role that Rush does, because I think that's his best role. He's just like a super OP role player if you make him that, like he was on Astralis. I think it just fits him really well. Just knowing also like his kind of like personality and just how smart of a guy he is and how like vocal and like detailed he can be. I think that'll be really good for him. And I actually wouldn't have liked this change if they didn't do the coaching change, but I think getting Peacemaker is really good. I think this will be solid because if anything, people can say what they want about Peacemaker, but he's a guy that is going to like push like how he wants to play and like any changes that he wants to make and like this the vision like kind of like system he has for CS. And I think that's exactly what Complexity needs. Complexity can't have someone that's just like doing whatever BlameF kind of wants to do or whoever BlameF is calling at the moment, because it's nothing really spectacular. So Peacemaker being there, it's someone that will like kind of like push for whatever roles he thinks are proper, like strategies, planning out the games, anti-strats, stuff like that. Someone that's like going to like push for what they want, I think was really important to kind of actually make Complexity evolve into the team that they want to be.
I really actually think that Peacemaker has a poor rep in the scene because he is very forward with what he wants, like you're saying, and I think that's good for Complexity, because I feel like Complexity have just kind of been sitting on their asses for a long time in terms of their style, where it always feels like I'm watching the same game from them nowadays. And I think they needed some kick in the ass here. So I think this is good, because I saw what Peacemaker was doing with Mad Lions, and I thought that their game plans on every T side made a lot of sense. Like they would target weak parts of the map. They even like would have multiple stages that just kind of like it felt like Peacemaker saw a weakness in a team's defense and he would just make a game plan that would try to exploit that. And sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. But I always kind of like, the way I would watch, every time I watched the Mad Lions game with Peacemaker, I would think to myself, what is the game plan I would make for this team? And then I would just see Peacemaker do it like almost like 2 out of 3 times. I would just be like, that like it just always just made so much sense. Like, how do I beat Liquid? And people, I go beat a lot, and then like, he did that. Like they wouldn't be like 8, 9 times
from that, because it's like, but it's like actually seeing like what you could do in a game plan and then actually pushing that and like making a team do it, convincing the team to actually play how you want to play.
Yeah,
like actually doing it are just like 2 entirely different things in terms of like what you see you can do and what you can actually try to convince the team to do and like follow you on.
Yeah, so I think this is good, and I think that I did hear some like rumblings that before this happened of this happening, and I heard that everybody on Complexity did really like Keita, and that they kind of just like people only had good things to say about him. But it's just one of those things where it's like Def on Complexity, you know, he didn't really do anything wrong, but he just wasn't doing things as well as maybe somebody new could do it. So it's nice to see changes like that, and it's nice to see that Jason Lake is following up on stuff.
Yeah, sometimes just having like something fresh, something new will be good.
Yeah,
I don't know, I think people like simplify it too much, but they think of like coaches or like players as like having like like those ratings that you have in like any sports game, where you have like a 94 overall, and one guy's like an 88 overall or something, right?
Yeah,
and they just think like in terms of that, and they just think like, oh, you're just replacing one guy with another guy that's on a similar level, so nothing's gonna change. But I don't know, like the overall comprehension of a team and like how long certain people have been there, and like how fresh certain people are, what ideas people have gone through, just drastically changes like literally everything about how a team is like formed and like how they play.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you said, Alex, they just needed something to give them a kick in the ass. When I originally saw that keita was out, I thought that I actually entirely forgot Peacemaker was even an option. And I put out a tweet saying that they have good candidates in terms of Zeus, Zonic, and Elma Putty. Looking back on it, I'm kind of glad that they didn't go for Elma Putty out of those, but I think out of Zeus, Peacemaker, and Zonic, any three of those are actually quite good for them, because they do need someone that will sort of come in and impose their view on the game, or impose at least some form of change onto the team. On a separate note, I did find it really funny because when the original, I knew that the two announcements were going to happen consecutively for Rush and ESEA. So when the Rush announcement came out and I saw Mix go like, what the fuck is this? Like, this is such a weird move. I'm like, oh, he's gonna love the next one.
Yeah.
And of course, ESEA comes out and he's like, okay, but I really like this.
I have tons of love for ESEA. I don't know if I told the story about ESEA. About like something on C9, like one of my favorite things. So also on C9, do you remember that blast animation they made of ESEA with like the Astralis thing? Like they had like the animated thing.
No.
Do you guys remember that?
No.
They had like an animated short of ESEA defending ramp and like Mad just making a call and then him like killing everyone as they came down.
I never saw it.
It was like this like animated. It was actually really good. Okay, but it looked really funny. So
ESEA's Adventures on Nuke.
Yeah, that one. So you can go look at it, and I made like one of the ESEA's faces in the animation, like my profile pic on Steam, like the entire time I was on the team. And like me and Valpy had like our clan tags in the game as #ESEA fan, and we would just like troll him. And like so basically ESEA, when we would just be like in server time, right, just like messing around or something, he would just follow me around and just like TK endlessly. Like he would spawn kill me, he would just find me, like spawn kill me, just follow me around the map and just TK me over and over. And then like I would turn on God mode to like get away, right? And then he would somehow go into the console, turn off my God mode, and then resume killing me and spawn killing me, and just do that endlessly. And I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
Just complete, dude. Just owned you. Just
annihilated me.
Just destroyed you.
So a little tangential to this. Sponge on HLT can confirm, because these complexity announcements came out at the same time that they were live. Sponge said that he had heard that Rush would be going to EG.
Oh, what is he? How is he leaking stuff like this on HLTV confirmed, dude? I can't. I knew about this Peacemaker change for a while, actually, but I don't leak it on a podcast. Like, what, dude? Is this like?
I think he's tilted. He's tilted because he said that EG were like a bunch of months ago. He said that EG were considering pulling out of CS or something, and they came out and like outright denied it and called him a liar. So he's still a little pissed about that, I think. Which is probably what led to that.
Rush to EG for who?
I feel like the only logical option would be Mihu, right? But that wouldn't make sense.
No, he just came in. I don't think they're going to drop him now, right?
But that's what I mean. Like logically, it wouldn't make sense. Like in terms of the timing, it wouldn't make sense. But that seems like the only role swap that would make sense. Man.
If it's anyone, like
Stan, Rush IGL.
I mean, he could be a good IGL.
Dude, I think he.
I know, Ron.
Wait a minute.
I don't know about this.
What? Why is everyone so against like certain people being IGLs? Like, one, he's smart. He's been playing support roles for the past like 2 fucking years. He obviously has the mind for it. He's a smart guy when it comes to CS. I'm not saying he's definitely going to be a good IGL if he tries it, but there's been crazier things to happen.
Dude, I think Rush could be a great IGL, actually. Yeah. I think it could be really good, because he's already just doing the most selfless...
How about win a major with Tarek calling? You're going to tell me certain people have no business ever calling it? Come on, give me a break.
My issue with taking Stan out at this point is that the whole reason they got Dapson as coach was so that they could combine Exodia for the first time ever. They haven't been able to do it yet. Yeah.
I don't even know what EG would be doing at the moment. Like, the only reasonable, based on like the timeline of how everything's gone, is like it has to be Breeze. If
Breeze to like Valorant or something.
You can't.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I'm sorry, Mel,
so
but like
sad.
Breeze to
Rush was
Valorant,
actually
and then you
joining
put like
that's the only thing I can see happening.
No,
Breeze to Valorant, and you put like Obo and Mihu into some of Breeze's roles. I guess
It would be sad.
Yeah, that would
Breeze
be a
is
really
my
big loss.
I think they just put
players.
Rush more in the Breeze's roles at the moment.
Breeze-
I don't know.
Why is Breeze a Swedish kid's favorite player?
I just enjoy seeing him play. He's so
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah, he's sick.
He's
Yeah,
so
yeah.
good. He's like NA's hope right now, I would like to say.
Oh my god.
But
Don't-
All right, hear me
Don't
out
put
here.
that on him.
Hear
I
me
don't know
out
if he
here.
can handle it.
Minus Mihu plus Rush minus Cirque plus Junior make an all-American team. One of the only ones people can still root for.
Oh man.
Listen, personally, if I wanted to see Rush go anywhere, but I don't know if they even have the budget for it, I like to see Rush go to Extra Salt. It's like kind of like
Interesting.
That's kind of like something new for Extra Salt and something kind of new for Rush.
Oh, for who?
Yeah, for who?
Probably just like Marky or Sonic would be the only two that would make sense.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to like shit on either of them or anything. It's just like just in terms of like the roles. It was just it comes more down to like just Extra Salt has never had anyone that had like experience like that.
Yeah, real
Like
experience.
just thinking about it, like they've all kind of gathered some experience themselves, but like they've never had someone like Rush. And also a fun tangent. This is a possible lineup back in like the end of 2019, before the ATK lineup formed with like Floppy OC, before they combined with Singularity. One of the teams I believe they scrimmed with. So get ready for this roster, right? It was JT, FaZe, Smooya, Steel, and Rush.
Oh, I remember hearing about those.
Steel, Canadian Steel,
Yes, Canadian Steel.
and JT on the same team.
Smooya, JT, FaZe is on this team.
Why is
and Rush.
FaZe on this team? Just ATK
So that-
FaZe, Bravado FaZe. Yeah.
So that was a lineup that actually scrimmed together for like a week or two,
Oh my.
and then didn't happen.
Wow.
And then
Okay.
apparently they were scrimming like good teams, and like Rush was like playing good roles again in that team, obviously. And
Yeah.
apparently he was just like fucking owning, just like annihilating people. And
Uh-huh.
I just want to see Rush like on kind of like on a team like Extra Solid, just because like I feel like he would be more of like a focal point of the team, right?
Yeah.
He gets to, play. He'd be really vocal and add a lot of experience. He kind of like play more how he wants to play.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know. I just feel like it could be beneficial for both parties. But like I said, I have no idea if that's something that would even be possible or if something either side would want to do. That's just like a personal thing.
Yeah.
I feel like if Extra Salts are going to make a change, now's probably the best time, because they also just missed out on qualifying for EPL based on the world ranking. So it's not like losing the points will be a big issue for them.
Mhm.
Whereas if they wait for another season or two, then they might just put themselves out of contention.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
So it's just something that I think would
not a
help.
bad
Like it would help like it would help everyone. None of them have played with someone with like that type of experience before.
Right. All right. Let's move to the last piece of news here, which is JW out of Fnatic. So obviously, storied legend player. In my eyes, from when I rewatch old VODs, like the pioneer of aggressive opping in CSGO. Actually,
Yeah.
Like the only other person that kind of did it similarly was Shock. Actually, and like to be that in your face.
One of my favorite things, the Personified JW, right, was they were playing like Luminosity in one of those grand finals. This is like during their run with Dennis. They're like when they won like 6 events in a row or whatever. And it was like 14-14. I don't know if it was 14-14, but it was like a really close match, like near the end of the match. And JW went for like the alt mid peak, on Inferno. So they were on Inferno.
Yeah.
And he went for like the alt mid peak that you do at the start with an op to like peek into alt mid and try to kill one of the defaulters.
Through apps, yeah.
And like as he was peeking, his like PC crashed. So like as he was there, and like Luminosity saw him, and then like they had to like restart the round, but like Luminosity saw him just go for that peak, right? So the round restarts, and then of course JW still has the spawn, so he just does it again. And he gets a fucking kill and runs away. And I was like, they just saw him actually go for this peak, and then he just did it again and got a kill and got away. I was like, dude, this fucking guy is just absolutely incredible. I love him so much.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely one of the most exciting players in CSGO's history. I mean, ZTR, like, surely did you? I mean, okay, actually, you being in the Swedish scene, did you like look up to JW, or what? What do you think of him?
Like, to be honest, I've always been more of a NiP fan. But
Ah.
of course, as well, all of the Fnatic players I've also looked up to because they were like
The other Swedish team.
Dominating.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Still one of the two giants of Swedish CSGO, and so yeah, definitely I looked up to JW, and but a bit understandable that this decision had to be made. Not his, I wouldn't say that he's bad, but he's obviously not performed under a longer period. So yeah, I don't think this. I think he can still find his groove back and come back. It's just a matter if he will find it again.
Yeah, it really actually, it almost actually just feels like with JW leaving Fnatic that if EPL were on LAN and they had a guaranteed LAN event coming up, I think you would kind of want to keep him. Because I feel like that is, if you want his groove to come back, that has to be the way it comes back. Like change of scenery, going to Malta, playing on LAN, you know, like, but now that he's off Fnatic, oh, it just feels like he's so far removed from getting back to a LAN caliber team, like a team that's going to qualify for LAN.
Yeah, not really sure what he'll do.
That really hurts because.
But I do hope he like tries to fight his way back up or do something.
Yeah, dude, I almost think that his stream is just going to be too successful, and he's not going to want to compete as much. I hope at heart, like I hope he's just a competitor at heart, and he does just fight through it and gets onto something, but. For some of these guys, it really is like if your stream is popping off with over 1,000 live viewers consistently, it's hard for them to ever like say.
I think it also will depend on the offers. Like,
yeah,
it's kind of weird because it's like at the moment, right? I feel like someone like Kenny S is much closer to just instantly like rejoining like a LAN caliber team than like JW would be.
Yeah,
and like Kenny S, I feel like will just like especially when like LANs and crowds are back. Just because, like, at the end of the day, there's nothing that really places that feeling of like winning on LAN in front of a crowd, you know. I feel like eventually JW might get the same thing back and want to do something. I'm not sure really what. I mean, who knows what opportunities will pop up or present itself for the next year or so. So I'm excited to see what JW does because I do hope eventually he like tries his hand back at it and hopefully he can like kind of, you know, regain some of his form.
I feel like hoppers that fall out of, you know, the top 35 teams, it's so rare for them to come back. But when you look at riflers that do, they can do it. They can come back. Like I think of Mo from Gambit when they were a top team. Like still like K23 is not like where he wants to be right now. And Guardian
it's gonna be
to Trident.
It's going to be a bit harder. It's going to be a lot harder for JW because he's been struggling for a while.
Yeah.
I don't think he's been in the top 20 since like 2016 or so.
Yeah.
Or 2015. While Kenny has been like in the top 20 a lot more recently. When he got removed from G2, it wasn't like he was like playing horrifically or anything. Like he wasn't playing up to par, but
he was. It was like
he was like mostly positive, but like just not really doing enough, and the team wasn't playing well enough.
Right. They needed to change something, and they saw an answer, and it worked pretty much for G2.
Yeah.
I mean, they haven't won a championship, but they're like a top 5 team. So yeah, it's so hard to imagine it. So yeah, just a bit of eulogy there. Yeah,
I think there's just it would suck, obviously, but there's a few different options for which direction he wants to go in. I think, like, first of all, he's only 26. That's not very old by CS standards. So he definitely could continue playing if he can find another team.
JW's gonna go to North America and save NACS.
Honestly, not even against it. But as you guys were saying, streaming is an option. What I want to see from tournament organizers like Blast and ESL, obviously Blast have already been doing it, but giving some of these players who are no longer playing actively the chance to stream some of their events would be massive. Like having Kenny S able to do the French language broadcast, or not even the official French language broadcast, but a stream on his own channel, JW, the Swedish broadcast, that can add so much to your tournament, not just based on viewers, but based on the fact that people are going to go watch these players who have professional experience watching these matches as well, just naturally. And you also give them an avenue to sort of explore more of their own streaming career that's outside of just playing the game. So that's one thing I'd like to see more. Also, on another note, these academy leagues, like WePlay, you have to have 4 out of 5 of your players between the ages of 16 and 20, which leaves you the option to bring in one experienced player to round out your roster and actually allow these players to develop. Also, another option.
I think there's another rule. I think that you can't have somebody that's been like at tier 1 lands or something. Like it's something like that.
Okay, I didn't know that one.
Yeah,
it wasn't in their press release or whatever. So
yeah, I think I forgot exactly what it is. Like you can't just bring in like you can't bring like Dupree in.
That makes sense. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I just hadn't seen that. Okay, well, I mean, even in that case, though, I would like some of these players to be able to get access to tournament broadcasts to be able to share that. I think that would be really nice.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, I think that kind of does it for everything until we get to the question of
covering the rumors. So I'm just gonna say the rumors of
the Danish CSGO leaks. You want to talk about Danish CSGO leaks?
Oh, I was talking about the HLTV one that came out today.
Which other one?
The mezii and Alex?
Okay, yeah, I didn't actually. Yeah, I didn't write that down because it's brand new. But okay, sure. What is your take? What's your take, Nick?
Absolute fucking banger moves.
Oh my god, it would actually be sick, right?
Both are actual like 10 out of like sick moves. Like Alex is like a perfect replacement for Golden.
Yeah.
Alex will be like aggressive and he'll like make
just a better, just an upgrade.
He's also similar and to like he's like better than Golden. It's like as a rifler, like even like Golden's like Golden's been like playing bad recently, but even like when Golden was like better.
Yeah.
But like he has like that similar energy with Alex. There's like a few IGLs that are like this where it's like either Alex has like 35 kills and is just like fucking carrying your team, like hard carrying, and is just like absolutely fragging out of his mind, or he's like 5 and 20 or something. And he's just like it's just like there's no in between. It's like either or. He's either playing with his hands or he's like God reincarnated in the server, like playing with his feet. Sorry.
Oh yeah, it's like wait. Yeah, I was thinking that what was it? Fang said also, like losing his hands or something.
Yeah, losing his hands.
Yeah,
not shooting his gun sometimes.
Yeah,
and then also Alex has an IGL, which is like super versatile. He's open to anything like Golden. Like I've talked to Golden before.
Yeah,
and just from what I know about Alex, I think Crims, Brolin, everyone that's like on the previous Fnatic team will be very comfortable with how Alex calls.
Yeah.
And mezii as the other player is also just another fucking banger. Just like everything you want out of like a teammate and a player. Like open to anything. We'll take like any criticism, anything to improve. Mm-hmm. He's like always like in a good mood. You know, he's never like toxic or anything. And he's super skilled. Like he can do like any fucking role you ask him to and do it at a good level. And like super clutch. Like he's gonna be like top 20 easily. Like I'm 100% sure of that. Messi's gonna be a fucking superstar.
Okay.
So it's just based on everything I know about Alex and mezii, like I think Fnatic, like buy Fnatic stocks quickly right now. Fnatic stocks up.
What's ZTR? Do you have takes on the move, on the rumor?
It's of course I would like to see them go or try and keep it full Swedish, but it's really hard with the current players available, and the risk you would have to take with upcoming players. So
yeah,
totally understandable move to go international. I feel like, and the Alex and mezii duo feel like they can do good work with the team. I don't know much about Alex as an IGL, but I know that mezii is Era has spoke, or like his ex teammate from Gamer Legion, Era has spoken a lot of only good things about him. And so I know that he's just insane rifler with the most insane aim and a good teammate as well. So I think he is playing all of JW's rifle positions, I believe. So good replacement, I would like to say.
It'll be good.
I'll add one little contribution to this, is that as soon as I found out the Fnatic Rising roster, I immediately was like, oh, so Fnatic are going international? Is that what it means? Like they have to be English speaking, because why would they get this academy team that just doesn't speak Swedish, right? So yeah, I think that per the rumor, I think it makes sense that I think it's going to be moving in a international direction. I guess that means Jaquinho's opping, which I haven't really seen, so that's going to be an interesting facet of this. But that's pretty much all.
No,
I got.
man, Alex may not.
Nah, we've seen that. We've seen
back.
that. We don't need to see it again.
Yeah, mezii. Yeah, so that's like a perfect replacement if he's playing like most of JW's roles. But also mezii is like those guys where it's like, you know how some players you might ask them to play a role and like they'll play it, but they'll be like, I don't know if I can like really do good at it. Like I don't really want to play it. Like you can kind of tell. But like with mezii, it's like you put him anywhere. It's like, okay, cool, and then he'll put in the work to like learn the spot, learn the role, whatever he needs to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a great teammate to have.
Got it.
This does make me wonder where MSL is going to end up because he was the other player rumored to Fnatic.
Yeah,
so, I thought he was going there. But guess not.
Yeah, I thought that's.
I don't have any inside source.
I think this Danish CSGO leaks. He's just like on a trivia wheel and he's just spinning around.
So I had this Twitter account follow me earlier, and then I just saw this pop up on my feed.
What is it?
Oh yeah. News. Sources close to the situation say Zipnix might one day, maybe, perhaps, be joining FaZe, NIP,
exactly.
GQ, OG, Fnatic, mouseports, or complexity.
Wow.
Huge news.
And then a follow-up tweet: if the transfer goes through, the player with the lowest HLTV rating will be benched.
Yeah, that is how they come up with these leaks half the time. I'm pretty sure. No, I looked at that account and it got some things right, but I don't know if it deleted like old things because I'm pretty sure I thought it said stuff before that I thought was wrong, but then again, there's like all these. There's like the Polish leaks account that I might be. I don't remember which.
This is the problem with
they all
Twitter
have the same
journalism,
picture.
though.
They all have the same.
They
picture.
do.
They're all the same
they do,
guy.
but this is
the thing about like this account, like Danish CSGO leaks, is that like you need to take it more as like things that like maybe have been like discussed or like are in the pipeline. You know, just like what the rumor mill is. It doesn't mean like it's definitely happening. I mean, they kind of frame it as like, yeah, this is what's happening.
That's the problem, though. Like, if you're gonna report something, you have to report.
It's more of just like these two parties have like talked to each other, you know?
Yeah.
Well, that part of it is probably true, especially considering Astralis were in open talks. You know.
Yes.
I gotta say, I'm disappointed Glaive decided to re-sign. I don't know if we're talking about that at all, but I know that's a whole other can of worms. But I was fully hoping for a move for him. Like, I know people are saying don't fuck with G2's lineup or something, but if they brought in Glaive IGL, I would be fully behind whatever the fuck they were gonna do. Like that's,
I don't know, dude. Glaive's one of those players.
So.
There's like as an IGL where it's like it doesn't really matter what team you are. It's like you have to like at least consider it. You have to like take look at like, if Glaive was like available and like was interested in your team, like his agent came to you or something to talk about it. Even if you're like playing pretty well, you know, you have to like take like a long hard look at your team and you're gonna be like, man, like adding Glaive would be pretty sick. Like
yeah,
like, this guy has won 4 majors. Like damn,
there's almost no team that could.
You'd have to like you'd have to like consider it. Even if you already have like a good IGL. Like if you're like OG of like Alexi B, it's like I rate Alexi B, but it's like bro, it's Glaive.
I'm thinking of teams in the top 30 that wouldn't really consider it, and other than like, I mean, like, Plano is the only one that comes to mind that would definitely reject it. You know,
there's just like certain players like that. Like,
would you like to be our 7th man?
Like, you know, we're like a simple
one. He would just say no outright. He would just actually just shut down the trade, the idea immediately. He'd be like, no.
But there's certain players like that, like, you know, like Simple, Zywoo, and then Glaive is like the IGL where you have to like, you always have to be like open to something like that, no matter where your team stands. Yeah. I remember when I was on Rogue, because obviously Hiko was on that team, and Hiko would go like, so Vice, if I can convince Simple to join, will you fuck off? just shit like that.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to the question of the week. It's a simple one, and it is: what would you do to improve CSGO? And ZTR, I would like you to do the honors of starting us off on this one.
Nerfed deal.
That's your change.
Good one.
That's your one change. Yeah. Also, yeah,
pretty
of course.
Smart,
and the
body shots, right?
Yeah. You shouldn't be able to have a like.
It doesn't have it in the fucking rifle. Yeah. In certain situations.
What would you? Okay, so what would your nerf? What would your nerf be? Being a little
like,
more specific.
You should still be able to one shot in the head, but like body shot should be like 30 damage or something.
Yeah.
Because right now it's like 60 damage if you shoot them in the feet from close.
Yeah.
The deagle should always be like one shot to the head. Like even if it's not balanced, it's just one of those things that it's just like that should always be a possibility. It makes the game exciting, makes the game fun.
Yeah.
It's like how like how certain people have like wanted to talk about like removing pistol rounds, and I'm like, no, like I can understand like the economy part of it, but it's like they're just too iconic, you know. Seeing simple just hit like a fucking 4K with a USP. It's like I don't want to see that go away.
So many of the sickest highlights every year are
pistol rounds.
The best player in the world's pistol highlights are just so beautiful.
Like fuck that, keep pistols. Like I don't want to see those go.
I never ever want to see pistol rounds.
That's just iconic, dude.
I never can.
Wait, CTR, did you say 30 damage body shots? So you want four body shots to kill?
Something like that. At least make it so it can.
At least like 3, yeah.
At least 3 shots.
Yeah, three. I've heard a bunch. I hadn't heard 4 much. That's interesting.
Maybe miscalculation on my part.
4 might be a bit too much, yeah. But I think 3 would be fine.
Yeah, 3's probably good.
By the time
the trouble with Deagle is that the way I've actually started modding the game, so I know a bit about the way that the damage is calculated. That would basically have to have some weird hard code where if it's a headshot and the gun is a Deagle, it headshots you because damage doesn't have any special modifiers. It's just the same for every gun. So that's probably why they haven't changed it actually, because they're trying to figure out what they actually want to do. Or maybe because they don't care. I don't know. One or the other.
Yeah, because it's just linear. It's just
Yeah,
it's just it's a 4x multiplier, isn't it? When it's a headshot.
Yeah, pretty much. So it basically from certain distances, I guess maybe the Deagle would still do it because it has a very high range. Like basically the range does nothing to the Deagle bullet.
The damage drop off.
Damage, the damage fall off for range. So I don't know what they would do with that, but definitely the close range, like just spray, and you don't even need to pray because you're probably gonna get them. It's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah. It needs to just be 3, I think, to the stomach or something, because I think I even just saw a highlight WePlay Academy League where someone killed 4 people with 1 clip of the Deagle, all stomach shots.
Yeah.
Was that against you guys?
I don't think so.
It was on Con on Overpass. Bot.
It wasn't us then.
Who was it? Okay.
One of the scenarios.
Oh no, it was Fury Academy versus Big. I think it was Fury. Oh no, it was it was Aqua. Aqua got 3 kills. My bad. He got 3, not 4. He got 3 kills as the smoke was fading, and he stomach shot all 3 people.
Yeah.
I guess you could reduce the clip size or something. You can make it 6 instead of 7. That would be one way to do it.
No.
It still is not very helpful.
First 6 bullets, 3 kills is how he did it.
Oh, okay. Well, then it wouldn't even matter. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, like that could have been 2, and I'd be okay with that. But 3 was just like that was all stomach shots. Like, it wasn't even like the last one was a headshot and like was cool or anything. It was like, oh, you just actually just abused this gun.
Yeah.
Okay, Note, what would your one change to improve CSGO? Economy, the space, something about tournaments.
Okay, mine is sort of a combined one, but I would go back to the old round length that we used to have with the old bomb timer, but simultaneously reduce the length of smokes and Molotovs by a couple of seconds.
Okay.
So that way, that would reduce overall match time, but it would also make it so that the smokes don't stall you out for like eternity with this reduced match time.
Okay.
So I think that would solve some of the game length issues because you're reducing the round by I think 20 seconds and the bomb timer by another 5. And that really adds up over the course of the series.
Yeah,
for sure. And it would nerf ZTR because literally he can't just sit in a smoke for all 17 seconds. It would be like a 12-second smoke, and it's like, oh, you died. They didn't rotate and come in. Okay. Mix, what would your fix be to CSGO?
I don't know. I haven't thought about too much about like the economy and stuff in terms of like how I felt.
It could be the scene. You can pick the scene.
Well, no, I was just gonna say like I'd be a big fan of like MR1 overtime. Because I feel like part of the reason some of these matches go on for so fucking long is that you just get into like double OT or like triple OT, and it just takes forever because they're all like full gun rounds, so people are like taking their sweet ass time, and like every single round, like it just takes a fucking long time to like complete these OTs, and I really wouldn't mind like MR1. I don't know how people would feel about it, like if it's like too random or not, but I don't know. I feel like when you've already gone to overtime, you're like 15-15. Getting like trying to win a gun round on like each side would be fine.
Yeah,
but that'd be like my personal scene. I don't know. Actually, what do you think about the ZTR since you're obviously a player?
I feel like it's good, and I feel like when you get into these long overtime games, it's not a matter of like who is playing the better CS. It's just
it's like you just point out like random shit.
The least wrong. It's like the least
I
wrong.
literally like remember the Liquid versus mouseports Inferno game was like a perfect example of this. Because like in like triple OT or like double OT, Elise just started juggling an M4 and an AWP to like A side. And then I was so fucking pissed off though that Mouse never went A because I wanted to see Elise AWP finally. Like I've been waiting years for this to see like Elise like 3K AWP clip. And I just went B every time and it made me so mad. But it's like you just start getting shit like that. Like on Dust 2, you just start the doors just like start getting spammed every round. Yeah. You know, you're just I don't know. It just turns into like like gambling and doing like random shit. Like you're not just like playing from your playbook. I don't know. I think MR1 would also be better for that reason because you're still like playing like within like the normal frame of the game generally.
Would you have to do some kind of like decider for who stays on what side, or would it just keep like what they were already on? Like
if you
finished on T, I don't know anything about the way Valorant does.
Yeah, what it does in Valorant is that it like if you're on T side, like on like the last round of regulation, it switches.
Yeah.
So you play the first round. So like if you were on T side for the second half, you play the first OT round on CT, and then you keep switching from there. So you just swap.
Which I think makes the most sense because it gives both teams the same ground basically. Since you're playing on the side you haven't in 15 rounds.
Yeah. Kind of resets the momentum there for a one single round fire. Yeah, that's pretty good. I think it could help a lot because think about the other complaints that came up in this very episode with like all the matches have all these pauses and then you got pauses in OT between halves. It's like ridiculous. So yeah, definitely is something that would just get eliminated. There probably wouldn't even be, maybe you just get like slightly extended freeze time or something before the MR1.
Yeah, I'd say like before the MR1, maybe just give them like a minute. To, you know, at least like be able to like discuss their like because you're switching sides, so give them like a minute to at least like discuss something that they want to do. And then
it also makes every round count once you reach OT, right? There's so much more pressure, but also so like the stakes are higher. There's more incentive for the viewer to have more tension when they're watching. It's just stacks up with a lot of different positives.
Shit, dude, playing map 3 of a major final and MR1 overtime, that'd be fucking. The nerves are on, dude.
The most
you
are
second guessing any single like peak you are gonna make.
Yeah. Oh my god!
Like dude. that shit is on.
No, I don't want to see a Kinder crumble like that, dude. Not more. No.
Yeah, imagine like I feel like see this is where players like JW are the best because JW will just fucking hold W down mid with his AWP.
Yeah.
one overtime.
He just sends it for the one round, and his team's like. His team, he dies though, and then they lose, and they're all like, "Come on, JW, why do you have to be like this?" But then he wins, but some games he wins it for them. You know,
Alex, did you just imply that Yakinder is going to be in the next major final?
Yes.
Okay.
So
we're talking
cool. So that core of VP is going to make 2 straight major finals.
Yeah, amazing. Vanguard back-to-back major finalists, but don't win either. Pernogo, actually, what would your thing be? What would your one fix be?
Well, currently there's a dog fight happening in my background, so I
could go first then.
Yeah, go ahead.
Take it then. Mine would just it would solve some of like the money issues for the game. I think is to have like a pay-per-view for CS. I think we kind of have to go there for to make the scene more sustainable. But I would want like TOs like Blast, ESL, Flashpoint, WePlay, whatever, to do like 2 broadcasts. One is on Twitch and it's free. And it's just the Go TV basically, and it's just you can hear the casters, but you don't see anything. You don't see player cams. You don't see desk segments. You know, it's clearly like it's like the most bare bones thing ever.
Do you remember that the E-League broadcast,
the observer feed? Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like it would be like the E-League observer feed where it's just like nothing. You don't really see anything, and it's fine. But because if you really just love the game, you can just watch that. But you're not getting the whole like experience of watching a good broadcast. Which I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. Like $5 for the whole tournament. 10. I think that's fair. I think $5 is fine, but just something like that. I think that's just a way to get a lot more revenue. And the thing is that you would still get a lot of viewers on just the free Twitch platform because a lot of people just kind of want to see it. But it's just something that I think kind of.
I'd be curious to see it tried, but
yeah, I want to see it tried. I want to see it.
You can't like commit to it.
I obviously didn't work out like do this for 2 years, commit to it completely. Like, dude, just do.
Because I can see this like I can see it not working like very easily.
Yeah.
Well, you just have to trial it for something like an IEM Katowice or IEM like one of their stable tournaments, and just trial it for one of them. Announce it in advance and then do it, right?
Yeah, because I just think the economics are so unsustainable for CS right now. They're just so bad. Like,
I
you
just
need
think
some more income flow.
if they could do that, the ideal scenario would be that Valve partners with them for that tournament that they do it on, and you pay the subscription fee through the in-game client or something, and that allows you access to the GoTV like in-game as well, so that you can, like in majors, you can go and look around in the GoTV yourself and actually fly around the map, etc. Like if Valve somehow partnered with them for that, and because then you don't even have the whole thing where you have to pay the $15 major pass or whatever, just $10 for access to the tournament feed, and then you have everything else in game. That would be kind of sick, I think. But
yeah, I just want to see some new like revenue sources being experimented with, because I don't think streaming on Twitch is like, I mean the numbers of the amount of money that ESL and Blast are losing is just like, that's not okay. Something needs to change about what they're doing. Okay, Pranoga, do you want to do your fix?
Yeah, my single fix. I definitely think at this point, like you guys already covered some of the in-game stuff. I was going to go with something similar to what Nohte said about changing the way that utility works. I always thought that, like, for example, Molotovs could reduce or extinguish, like maybe reduce the timer of a smoke by half of whatever its current leftover duration is, where that would be a way for you to use Molotovs in a more tactical manner instead of flushing people out. If somebody just drops a smoke and it's go time and you have to do it anyway, you throw that down, cuts it in half, maybe disperses really quickly. I don't know exactly. Then it's like a back and forth where if you throw a smoke to extinguish a Molotov, it's also going to be less useful. So there's a bunch of different ways that could be things. You could think about like Nuke, the elbow smoke that comes in this recent final. Nico kept throwing down an incendiary grenade to catch that smoke in the first place. If an interaction like that happened, the smoke would also last less time, which would, just change up the window of opportunity. That was one thought that I had, but that's the easy one because that's just in-game stuff. I want to see Valve actually have some sort of commissioner or something that comes in and is like a liaison to the CS esports scene, because this is a suggestion that's been happening plenty of times. People have come up with this. Yeah. And I just feel like it's such a brain-dead, obvious solution. Like, it's so easy to make this decision because Valve clearly have not demonstrated that much of a... Like, they don't really care unless they are actually partnered with the tournament. And even if they are, I mean, we saw some of the CIS RMRs, so we know they don't care that much, guys. But the fact that they still went through and like have done so little... I understand that they have done a lot for the game, for the casual players. They've got the operations, they've got the skins. Everybody's happy with those. But I do feel like they need to step in a little bit more. And even if they aren't, but they have somebody who can actually communicate to them and almost filter through, because they seem a little timid and afraid of all of the blasting that they get on a daily basis if Valve doesn't care. And yeah, that's fine. But ideally, have somebody who can filter that through, almost like a guy who's reading your tweets for you, your Twitter mentions or something. Just try to get those developers like pointed in a more productive direction whenever they have the time to do it. Would be my change for the scene.
That's such a prime candidate in Sean Garris a while ago as well. When he
think even down. Said he wanted to do it or something like that. Yeah. Okay. All right, that just brings us to the very last part of the show. That's the shout outs. So just anything. Let's do this mix. What do you want to? Who do you want to shout out? What do you want to shout out?
Shout out Alex, mostly just because I have to see takes on Reddit every day about how C9 proved Alex isn't a good IGL and how he actually just got hard carried by Zaibu and Vitality. Wow, and that's the only reason they were good. So really smart people.
Yes,
shout out.
Really good takes.
Okay.
So shout out to Alex, who's a top 5 IGL in the world, and fnatic is making a great move.
Okay. No, what's your shout out?
I'm gonna shout out HLTV for probably the first time. I'm gonna be starting as a senior writer as of August 1st.
Bold.
So I'm no longer doing coverage.
Congrats.
And thank you. So yeah, that's my shout out.
What does that entail? Like, what's the difference?
Basically, technically, I was a part-time writer before, so we're also changing like the way we run our news flow and whatnot. But essentially, I'll be working full-time as a news writer now, with set hours, and I'll be able to cover a lot more of the European scene as well. So
do you get benefits?
No, I wish.
Full time, no benefits. What?
Yeah.
No 401k match.
No.
Jeez. Okay. All right. ZTR. Who or what do you want to shout out?
So shout out to my teammates in Young Ninjas and also Danish CSGO leaks. Great content.
Okay.
It's pretty good content, actually. Even if it's fake, it's just good content.
It just drove me nuts that after the Rush benching got announced, I saw so many Reddit comments and even Twitter comments of people like, "Oh, guess this person was right the whole time," and I'm like, "Please stop." And these are probably the same people who gave DK shit for all of his reports, which were all accurate.
Yeah.
It's just wild.
Pronogo, what's your shout out?
I was going to shout out WePlay for setting up content like this and content like what I just put out, but I feel like that's probably your shout out, so I didn't want to steal it.
No, I'm not going to shout them out. They're already paying me.
Yeah, okay, you're good. Yeah, shout out WePlay then. Thanks for making all this possible. Epic.
Sweet. You just stole my shout out. I lied. I was going to shout them out. No. I'll just shout out ZTR for coming on, dude. It's like 1:40 a.m. for you, and we got a match tomorrow. So you've been a great guest. This is a bit of a cop out, but I mean, yeah, you're my shout out because also the community definitely undervalued what you were providing, especially on C sides, and just like they undervalue what Rush brought on T sides. So that's my shout out. I feel like you actually fit the NIP system very well. They looked good with you. You were like the polar opposite of what Twist brought that team, and I think that's what they needed—a player that instead of doing too much, did just what they wanted. So, shout out to ZTR. Okay.
Thanks for letting me come on. It's been great.
IGL superstar in the making.
All right. That's going to be it.